Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Australian Survivor Brains v Brawn. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, here to get into some pre-season coverage, a cast assessment. We're going to be looking at the Brains tribe today, and please help me welcome in. He is an exceptional Survivor journalist, pop culture journalist, podcaster, and the brains to my brawn. It is the great Mike Bloom. Thank you for being here.
Shannon, if I'm the brains to your brawn, we have a serious problem.
I know. Well, did you see before the podcast, like my face kind of cracked because I was thinking, oh wait, who should be the brains to who's brawn? And then I thought about how funny that was, and then
honestly, it's a low bar for both of
Yeah,
us because it's like, all right, well then,
exactly.
if I'm not the brains, then I'm the brawn, and either way, we're kind of screwed. I mean,
It doesn't feel right either
it's
way.
very fitting that your first 3 words to my introduction were "please help me" because I feel like we're already in that territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Help me,
Genuinely,
Paul.
this one is really, really hard. I just don't think I can make you brawn. I don't think I can make me brawn. I mean,
Come
do you have a defense of how you could
on.
be brawn?
Have you seen these suckers? Oh,
Okay.
baby.
One time, my cat was trapped behind the bed, and I lifted the whole mattress up with my mom's strength. That's my brawn.
I mean, the thing about this casting, though, and what came from the previous winner of Brains versus Brawn is that you gotta have both
Well, I
to
don't have
survive.
both.
I also
Yeah.
always have something interesting with this particular configuration where we pluralize this tribe, but the next tribe we're going to talk about is singular, right? It's Brains versus Brawn, not Brains versus Bronze or Brain
Well,
versus
that's
Brawn.
because no, Mike, come on, please help me already. Because you have brains or you have brawn. It's
Right.
equality.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
equality versus a literal organ, which is just such an interesting idea.
No, because any wow, that she really has brains or she really has brawn. That's how you would say it in reality.
Yeah, I just think that it's interesting that these two terms that are pitted against each other don't work in the same syntax context.
It is true. And they've done that before where wasn't it that it was it's a puzzle, but then it had more letters to put because it's not brain
Well,
v brawn.
oh, it was when they spelled out the arch, right? And they spelled brawn wrong.
Yeah. That was fun. Anyway, brains v brawn. This is happening. How are you? How are you feeling about it?
I'm doing well. I mean, I always feel like the Survivor year has not started until an AU cast drops, let alone airs, just because of the timing of it. Usually comes before the US season proper. Look, last year we got together and I'm like, Titans v Rebels has some big shoes to fill, considering how beloved Heroes versus Villains was. And it freaking took those shoes, threw them out, and got a whole new set of Jordans and just promptly wore them to my contentment, to your contentment, to many people's contentment. I still think that is, depending on the day you ask me, probably my favorite Australian Survivor season. So dare I say, these shoes are getting rather clown-like and that these are even bigger shoes to fill. That said, now look, I can speak to this as somebody who does a lot of preseason content and knows that sometimes there's only so much you can take away from a bio or a 30-second video or their social media. But even the scant amount of stuff that we're going to go over today, I'm
There was a
pretty
lot
excited.
there.
Yeah,
There's
I did not get the sense that, and look, even our somewhat traditional Australian Survivor casting of bringing people on that are either well-known names or relatively just completely new to the game and largely just kind of stick in the background or end up falling flat on their face. It seems like the people they're bringing in with this particular group so far, we're obviously going to talk about half the cast, do seem to all have some knowledge of the show, varied careers, varied perspectives. I was trying to look up the timeline. Do we know if the Brains versus Brawn theme was confirmed before casting was done? Because I wonder
Yeah,
if,
I think so. That's been in
because
the
this
works for a
brain,
while.
well, because I think this Brains tribe, unlike the OG Brains tribe, does feel, at least from a career perspective, brainier. Or as opposed to, I do think the other Brains tribe was a bit more of and the non-Brawn people are going into Brains. This one does feel like, especially
Really?
I think running down the job list, I think these are more academic, intellectually minded jobs that kind of more of a mishmash that we got back in OG Brains versus Brawn.
We had a lot of brainy jobs in the OG Brains.
Somewhat. I mean, I'm just thinking of school principal, all right, sure.
Yeah, we have a teacher now. Yeah, they're molding young minds.
I think a teacher is more of a brainy position than a principal. Maybe that's being
Well,
maybe that's
shots
being
fired
sensitive.
at the OG Brains tribe, at principals.
Hell
guiding
yeah,
our
man.
youth.
I'm not pulling any punches. Come
Jeez,
on. This is the most explosive season of Australian Survivor, Shannon. I don't know if you saw the advertisements.
I saw a lot of it. Yes. I also, as you were talking, I understand what you mean. This is the only singular, because Titans, Rebels, heroes,
Yeah.
villains, heroes, healers, hustlers, Brawn is
Champions,
the.
contenders.
That is annoying.
It's
I get
odd.
why they did it, but it is odd. Yeah, that's the only singular tribe. Also, we've had a Brain, going backwards now, a Beauty and a Brawn win. So this will be the decider.
I
Really.
suppose so, though it's always odd, right? Because technically, Beauty was not a category in Australian Survivor Brain
Yeah.
versus Brawn. I know the
No,
joke
it
that we
wasn't.
made, right, is like it's always Beauty because it's Australian Survivor casting. But yeah, this will certainly be something to make the overall tally. It's sort of like when the NFL teams were like created after the big merger. I'm getting into American history on sports history on an
I
Australian
see the
Survivor
Chiefs are
podcast.
winning. I looked that
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Unfortunately, my poor Buffalo Bills, me and baby.
Oh,
A.
right. I forgot you go for the Bills, but I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
But it's fine.
Chiefs,
I'm
yeah.
distracting myself by getting to talk with my best friend about what I think are a very interesting.
Wait,
group
no.
of
What was your
people.
NFL story?
Well, this idea that like there was, as
Sorry.
teams get created, and you think about like, okay, this will decide it. When it's like, well, actually, this team was created. Some were grandfathered in. Others went by the wayside. So there's an asterisk next to who will ultimately be the victor of this BBB showdown, even though the last B is silent at this point, considering we've retired the theme from the US.
Yeah, although I will say, I didn't see many winner picks for me in this group.
Okay.
Look, I like going for like strong women, although there are a lot of them in the Brains tribe because Australian Survivor. So I'm like kind of looking more at Brawn, I would think. I haven't looked at Brawn as in depth, obviously. But like the weird thing is, I don't think that the Brains are gonna get like demolished.
No.
In the first Brains v Brawn that we had, the Brawn were better, but it was more like it was divided on immunity challenges, and then Brains won like their first reward in the last one that they did. So it ended up being really split. And I think that even though it's a different production company, I have a lot of faith in this production company. And even the last Brains v Brawn did pretty well on like some puzzles and some like critical thinking skills and challenges. So I feel okay about how it will go challenge wise. Like, I don't think the Brains, like last time we said the Brains were just going to get beat up and shoved in lockers the entire time. I don't necessarily think that will happen. And they have so many strong people on this tribe, actually. It's more just like individually, I'm like, I don't think you're going to do very well. And that's been my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing for me, is that I also feel like the structure of the last Brains versus Brawn season was interesting in that a lot of what we think of typical Australian Survivor challenges, which is the battle of the big boys, these physical 1-on-1, 2v2, 3v3 matches, were pretty much relegated to reward challenges only, which I thought was pretty wise.
Right.
That like it didn't necessarily say, all right, Brains, you pretty much already lost this immunity challenge just by proxy of the fact that it's going to be extra physical. So I would imagine we're going to keep going down that line, if not even further. And so even if we don't, to your point, I think that these Brains have a good amount of physical acumen to them. I mean, I would imagine that from a resume perspective, Brawn has more, but I think Brains can certainly stack up, especially, again, if we're getting into more of these individual matchups. Even in those challenges, they're not going to completely get blown out of the water.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I mean, this is a very strong tribe. This is Australian Brains. This is how we do it here, where there is, just so much muscle. We'll see. Well, let's bring this up.
Oh,
this
look
is the
at
cast
them.
photo for the people watching on video. It's really messing with my mind that Brains are red. Like, I think when I did the kickoff in my head, whenever I saw red, I just assumed Brawn, even though like I knew that they were Brains, like because all the Brawn tribes will now have been Brawn's tribe. I can't. All the Brawn's tribes have been red.
Maybe they only do singular because bronze also sounds like prawns, and it's like, no, it is not Brains versus shrimp. That would actually be the opposite of Brawn, arguably.
Would it? Okay, no. Every part of nothing you just said. Nothing you said was
correct. Because shrimp are really small and weak.
Brawn doesn't sound like Brawn, and Prawn's not the opposite of Brawn.
You'd flip that B upside down. What do you get, baby?
I don't think you get a P. I don't think you get a P. I don't think you
B upside down and you get a P.
No. Oh, I guess.
I was referring to it informally.
Right. I thought capital. So look, it's been 10 minutes. We've been talking for 10 minutes. So
if anything proved the fact that neither one of us are the Brains, I think it's the first 10 minutes of this podcast.
No, neither one of us were the Brawn.
We're neither.
That's so mean.
You and I are the Beauty. That's what we've settled on.
I think I would be in the Brains tribe. I'm a Ravenclaw.
No.
What?
I think you'd be in Beauty. You were on Australia's Next Top Model.
I don't even know how I was on that show. I'm definitely in the brain trap. I very much identify with being a brain. This is my people. These buff brains are my people. The ones who are also professional athletes, but very also smart.
I love this tribe photo as well because, like, is it? It's not. Is it Photoshop? Because, like, aren't they in the exact same positions that they are in the cast photo as
No,
well?
I don't think so.
I could have sworn that AJ is in the exact same position, and like that
I can't tell.
that the people who are kneeling in the exact same position. I mean, listen, if you want to cut corners with your, graphic design, please do. But that's otherwise they just really like these poses.
Okay, so a couple of questions for the audience. Is this photoshopped? There are a lot of AI experts. And
That's true.
also, is Brawn the opposite of prawn? Those are the two questions we found in 10 minutes here. I don't think it's Photoshop, but when you look at it, it kind of does look like it is.
Yeah, I don't
know.
know. It's intriguing. I mean, either way, it doesn't necessarily matter because yeah, red as brains is odd. You and I went through this in Survivor history previously. That like, I mean, technically the Kagayan one was orange, but it's like red adjacent. Of course, Brawn in Korong, Brawn in the first brains versus Brawn, but they decided to change it up a little bit here. That maybe they are deciding truly that like we are the brawniest brains tribe ever assembled, and to show that we're gonna don their colors.
They definitely are. Okay, let's actually get into the cast and then maybe like underrail. We'll rail. Nope. We'll re-rail. Nope. We're getting back on track, and by doing that, clearly, here's Allie. She's the first person we have. We're going with the women first on the Brains tribe. This is Allie. Spoke about her a little bit in the kickoff because she is the AI expert. She's one with the pet rescue kangaroo. What stood out to you about Allie?
Well, first off, there's got to be so many puns about her name, right? Considering that the way she spells it is Ally, that she is a fierce ally, or whether she will be a loyal ally. We won't be entirely sure. I'm not sure if they're going to spell it that way. I think she should. This is one of the rare Survivor instances where you should announce how your name should be spelled, because I think that's going to manifest something psychologically in people being like, oh, that's how you spell your name. Well, clearly you're someone that I can work with because it's in your name.
Yeah, you think about things no other human being has ever thought about. And that's what I appreciate about you. But I do think that it's like, yeah, they vote out ally, and jail people will be like, which ally?
Exactly.
Which
exactly.
Of your allies?
Oh, well, that's the thing. There's going to be a nice who's on first thing. And Ally is actually a great smokescreen, right? It's like when you're working with your ally, and it's like, are you talking about her or are you talking about somebody else? I think it's a perfect way to sort of disguise it. By the way, I also did look at the cast photo. They are indeed in different positions. What's fooled me was I think it's Karen is in a very similar kneeling position, front and center in both of these photos. So that's where I got it confused. But no, they are indeed no AI. No AI detected, though. Allie can be the one to tell us because she is the big AI expert. And it's interesting because, like, it seems that she has these typical sort of farm ranch qualities, but she works in such an academic job. But I also think maybe unlike the tropes as well associated with those types of people and from the footage that we get, in doing a big deep dive into her social media, she's been traveling all around the world to like South Korea to New Zealand. So again, this is one of those people that is more than meets the eye. And I guess the question is, how much is she going to show to the eyes of others?
This is funny that there's so much I, because as Rob and I spoke about, she spells her name with a Y. But yes, AI, she's more than meets the eye. There's a lot going on here, but no eyes. But I do think that, look, on this cast assessment, for the people that have not been here before, firstly, how dare you, but also welcome, I guess. But also, what we usually try to do is we do pre-merge or post-merge. And then we also try to do some gimmicky things. So like a few years ago, we did, will they be blood or water? Because those were the tribes. The blood, but that wasn't the bloods or the waters.
Yeah, just blood and water.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's not actually the only thing.
Oh no, but if you ask JLP, at like 3 episodes of the season, it was just red and blue to him.
Yeah, well, that was like from the first episode. But anyways, we did more blood or more water, and then we did nicknames like the Godfather. Whatever.
Yeah, like the promo nicknames. Yeah,
the promo nicknames. And then last year we did merch, which Mike took in a whole new direction with things like the Diplomat for Mark, which was just a mat that said the Diplo, which, by the way, Mark is Mr. Trick.
No, it did not.
It did not
say the Diplo. It said a bunch
it
of
said
hello.
the Diplo.
No, it said hello
in my mind,
in a bunch of different languages. Why would it say the Diplo?
What? Why did it?
That makes no sense.
Yeah, because it's the Diplomat.
That's going to create so much more confusion and consternation amongst people that are people are going to be deterred from going into your home. If I walked up to a house and it said the Diplo on it, I am calling social services because there is something wrong going on behind those doors.
Okay, I've misunderstood what you meant for a year, and I don't like your idea. And I really like the idea that is the Diplomat. Just now. But last year, I think I was complimentary. I didn't understand what you meant.
Well, I'm so glad you took it back a year afterwards, knowing that I completely misinterpreted what I said.
What does your welcome mat say?
I think it says... I was gonna say it says hello and just like a period after it, like it is your birthday. No, I believe it says welcome on there. It's a pretty basic bitch welcome mat.
That's really basic.
Some sort of like brown coarse material, though it is winter here, so like I'm grateful for it because I want to brush off as much detritus from my shoes as possible going in. So, but it also feels a little, I don't know, like it's a well wish that you're rubbing the soles of your feet against. Does it not feel a little demeaning at the same time? Like I'm trouncing upon this message of goodwill that's supposed to be welcoming me into the hearth?
Okay, again, you think about things no other human being is thinking about. It's not offensive to the welcome mat. I feel like you're too goofy a person to just have a really classic welcome mat.
I don't go for anything. Angela would not allow me to do anything shticky. I think a lot of
my whole apartment is shtick.
Bits are only allowed to stay within the household, not outside of it.
Oh, no, we extend everywhere. Mine says, I'll just tell you, you won't guess because that would be crazy. Mine says, cats welcome, people tolerated.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah, that was a gift. But anyway, what were we talking about?
We were talking about what are we doing this year?
The merch, and then what are we doing this year? We're doing what reality show they're going on next, right? Because that's the thing. There are so many reality shows now. Everyone's double dipping. So we're going to cast them in the next reality show. So firstly, on the pre-merge, post-merge thing. Originally, I have Ali down as pre-merge. She was first, and I don't know why. There's no real reason. I just was a vibe. But now that I'm looking at her and seeing the rest of the tribe who I feel not good about, I feel actually pretty good about Ali. So maybe she has the whole farm outback life thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously worked with animals a lot. She talks about how, like, you only need the muscle in your head, which is kind of like the Sari quote, you can always beat them with this. So I think I'm going to make her post-merge. There's a lot there. She's obviously smart. She has 3 degrees in teaching, which we have another teacher, tech education and creative writing. There's another AI student. Like, there's a lot of points of connection here. She's a poetry writer. We have some creatives on the tribe. I'm actually seeing quite a lot that I like. What I was confused about is she says she's terrified of the dark. And I thought, you don't get that a lot these days in adulthood.
Yeah, I think it's just because we live in a world that's almost full of too much light, right? There's screens and electricity lighting up everything 24/7. But I mean, that's the interesting thing about living out there in such a deprivational environment is like when it is dark, people tell you when they play Survivor, like it is dark. Like the night vision cameras cover up for a lot of people just blindly stumbling around. So it could either really be a fantastic sort of like, facing her fears directly, or it just could further drive her into this ironically deep, dark hole of being afraid of the dark. I do think that Ali is someone, and maybe it's the hair color, but could be for me in this, what you would want to be in a Brains versus Brawn season, which is kind of like the merger of the two, right? That was Haley's winning argument that was able to give her the victory handily. And I do think that, again, Ali, it's not like we're necessarily seeing all these huge physical activities that she's been doing, but the fact that she seems to be on this ranch kind of by herself, I've seen some footage of her like tending to everything. That takes a lot of physicality. It takes a lot of discipline. So I think she has the mentality to be able to do it while also having some interesting academic quirks to her as well that makes her maybe seem a little less simple than you might initially intend. Something that was a bit of a red flag for me, besides the one on the Brains Beach, is the fact that she does say in her bio that she has been nicknamed Trumpet Mouth by a friend.
Oh, right. I did that. Oh, that's why I made her pre-merge. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
I'm like, what was the reason? Because yes. Okay. Now I might go back to pre-merge. That's not great.
Because she said that she has a loud voice. That's just me. And I personally think she could be someone who blows a plan up, either by accident, telling the wrong person, or like speaking too loudly, or like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to do this. Again, I just have this tagline in my head, Shannon, of the most explosive season ever, and I think we're just going to get a lot of conflict, a lot of drama, a lot of arguments. And I would not be surprised if Trumpet Mouth is involved in that proverbial orchestra alongside all of these other instruments. So I was really back and forth. She's a cusper to me. I do think I'm going to make her pre-merge just because I kind of foresee something she can do to step in it and get clipped right before the merge, when honestly all the other boxes should be checked of her sailing through to that individual game.
Yeah, no, I'm switching her back to pre-merge. I know it's been a roller coaster, but like, look, in my experience, people love loud women, right? So that's gonna go well.
Oh, wait, I guess
yeah,
I should say, so how are we balancing this out? Like, are we saying 12 and 12? Because Australian Survivor now does merges at like 13 or 14.
I don't have a math. I do go on vibe, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna.
All right,
I
then
haven't
I'm
looked
gonna
at the board, so I don't know.
Then I'm gonna put
Yeah.
her in merge. Then I'm given my layout. I'm gonna make her merge.
Okay, I have no layout, but so pretty much for me, merge for you, and I reserve the right to shift this around at the end of the bronze. I don't know how to say the word brawn anymore. You've actually wrecked me, and we haven't even started the season. We're not even close to it. Pre-merge, I reserve the right to change it later on, and I put her on Farmer Wants a Wife, but as the farmer.
Oh, I like that. So
wanting some sort of spouse.
I like that a lot. I took a couple of liberties with this exercise because I sometimes came up with shows that do not exist yet.
Oh,
and I did just waiting to happen. This is one I like to call Is It Cake? Spelled Caike. And you look at two pictures of cake and you have to figure out whether someone actually made it or it's an AI generated image.
I don't think that's going to take off.
Come on. The AI
just pictures? Do you get to eat the cake?
Well, yeah, maybe you could do like a 3D printed thing. Like maybe we'll have like someone made a facsimile of both of these cakes and you have to figure out if AI made it or not.
That's better. That's already better. So you've already workshopped it. The idea of like the AI reality content is terrifying to me. Like, don't put that out into the universe. Don't wish that on. What would be her welcome?
Just wait until like 3 years from now. Australian Survivor, humans versus AI.
Yeah. Or then AI
humans versus AIs.
Australian Survivor, just with the I instead of the U.
Yeah, it's like you see Australian Survivor branded across the screen, and then all the letters fade except for A and I.
Yeah. Okay, they're gonna do this. Let's not put it in the universe. What would a welcome mat be? Am I gonna do this on the fly? Just to insult their welcome mat? Ranch life. I've decided.
And now we're doing welcome mats?
Yeah.
All right. Then hers is NA. She does not have a welcome mat. She's a farm girl. You come in and you knock your boots off first thing you walk in the door. No welcome mat needed.
Okay, I've clearly never been to a ranch. Anywho, let's move on to Indy. This is Indy. I've got a lot of screens going. Got a lot happening here. Indy is a business development major and a stand-up comedian. Now, I watched a lot of Indy stand-up comedy. Okay, I did a lot of research for this podcast. I thought it was pretty good. I was laughing, and I will say, if Ali's fear is of the dark, my fear is of amateur stand-up comedy. Genuinely, the idea of someone being bad and bombing. Yeah. Like, I couldn't watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel because even in that fictional show, it was hard for me to watch her bomb, and she was good, but it was fictional. But like, I think the empathy in me, I'm like, I hate seeing people do badly at it. So it was
are you not a fan of like cringe comedy at all?
No, I hate that. Hate all.
Okay, because this is also kind of an offshoot of it, right? In that it's like people actively trying to do their best and creating cringy content.
No, yeah, I don't like any of that. So I faced my fear in watching indie stand-up comedy, and I enjoyed it. I laughed. It wasn't like the time where I had to watch Kelly do karaoke or like some of the content that I watched later on for this podcast. I thought indie was really good. I think indie is really funny. What were your thoughts on indie?
I really like Indy as a person, as a personality. I mean, even looking at her bio, I'm a Black Muslim bisexual who grew up in Townsville. I've been voted out of tribes my entire life. I'm ready for this. Just absolutely incredible. And someone that also, obviously, due to that life experience, comes in with a lot of resilience from, for many reasons, they get a bit of an otherization, especially in an environment like Australia. And, I do think that it seems like, even looking at this Brains tribe, like, granted, it's a little bit of a game of inches or centimeters when it comes to Australian Survivor casting, but like there is more diversity, I would say, as we've kind of been going along with these seasons. And representation matters. I absolutely love the fact that she gets to sort of, be the cross section of so many different communities that has sort of informed her voice and her own identity as a comedian as well. I watched a little bit of her stand up too, and I do like a lot of that stuff, how it's a lot based into that identity, just because it allows her to kind of speak upon it in a way that speaks power to it. But there's some other very interesting life updates that have been posted on her social media, I believe, since filming this season. Is that correct, Shannon? Just based on the
Yeah.
timeline of it all?
Yeah, that does seem right. Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, you tell it.
Indy was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
Stage 4?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I missed that part.
Yeah, so she officially posted about it on November 3rd. So
Yeah.
again, this is past the window of, whatever
Jesus
happened on
Christ.
Brains versus Brawn, but like she has been going through a lot. It seems like she has been very well supported, but she has also been, again, true to who she is as a comedian in terms of vulnerability, very open about the process as well. But yeah, that was wild when you go into a prospective player's Instagram account being like, I'm going to find out a little bit more about you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. So obviously, wishing Indy all the best. I'm hoping that, she'll be able to use her time on the show as a bit of an escape, hopefully, from some very unfortunate circumstances she's going through at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, she was diagnosed around like October, and they played around what, like August? So
August to
what? So she's
September, yeah.
playing Australian Survivor with just like stage 4 cancer, just
So
like
so that
ravaging her body,
I mean, that's the question, is like,
undetected at the
I
time.
am no doctor. Like, I don't know. I have to speak to an oncologist about this. Like, I don't know if that could physically manifest in her in some way in her
Jesus.
performance, especially in such a deprivational environment. I mean, listen, I love her. I have her going pre-merge. It's not even for these circumstances, which again is a lot of guesswork. It is more so for, some of the stuff that she is saying that is going to make for great TV, but maybe not necessarily for completely salient gameplay for 46 days. When she said in her bio she wants to play like Kirby, direct, strategic, and honest. And I feel like, Shannon, every time you and I and everyone else spoke about Kirby, it's like, this should not be working,
Yeah, it
but it
shouldn't
is
work.
somehow working. How is she getting away with this? She is truly a unicorn. And so we speak the same thing with Tony. Like, while it's admirable qualities to have, it's almost impossible to replicate depending on the personality that you have. She also says that, she's a quote unquote psycho when it comes to the level of competition. So
Yeah,
I
can't
could see
relate.
her getting like pretty incredibly intense when it comes to the competitive aspect of things. And again, I don't think this Brains tribe is like a big gaggle of nerds that'll be like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like, I think there will still be people that will get hot-headed about losses, but if there's a reason to target somebody, it might be that person who is the most vocal about things. Not to mention that I also think she could be another person where, like, the first whiff she gets of her name being floated out, she will not hesitate to call somebody out about it. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it really does not.
I think for me, I mean, it's really hard to move on from the cancer stuff, to be honest. But like, it was really devastating because like that's a devastating thing anyway. But like also I like watched her stand up. Like I really connected with her. I think more than
Yeah.
anyone on this tribe that I've looked at, anyone that I've looked at so far in the cast, I really liked Indy a lot. Like I laughed at her amateur stand up comedy. Okay, that's big for me. And then
That
like to
should be on
see
her
the
welcome
news.
mat.
Yeah, no, I've already got her welcome mat. It's
Oh.
not who's there.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
I
It was
love
already
that.
working for the gimmick. I thought about it like a minute ago and I was just sitting on it, or standing on it as it were. But anyway, I really liked her. I really like her in general. It was just such a roller coaster. Like, this is like such devastating news. I think she's great. I think she's super funny. Like, I think she'll bring a lot to the show. I love that she's psycho competitive. Love that. From one psycho competitive to another. That's awesome. Like, I also really liked how she said that, like, one of the advantages that she has over the Brawn, help, is that she is knowing the rules and reading the criteria. And it's like, you know what, in Australian Survivor, that is an advantage over some of the
Yeah.
people, probably.
Again,
So
the last Brawn
yeah.
tribe struggled to spell the word brawn correctly in a challenge.
Yeah, so it's hard. Brawn or bronze. Okay, we all are struggling right now, but I really like her. I'm manifesting post merge just because I want it to happen,
Yeah.
and I think she's great. And like the Kirby thing, yeah. Like, I mean, I think you say it, but you don't necessarily play like Kirby because it's not going to work for anyone but Kirby. Kirby is a unicorn, as we said. But
I mean,
I'm putting her
yes,
post
you
merge.
should. The question is she one of these people that walks in saying, I'm going to try this, and she does, and then realizes, oh, no, it's something you say, not what you do?
I don't know. I think sometimes people just say things, right? That's what we say every preseason.
I do think, however long she lasts, she will have the best confessionals out of the brains. Like, God, I hope they don't Frankenbite her, just because, again, stand-up is all about writing these, like, clean, flowing sentence structures. I would hate for that to get messed up in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like okay, should we be retiring the welcome mat thing now that I already beat it
I
to
got
people
on
into
top!
it? Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have another great one like that. I'm putting her on the show Thank God You're Here. Is that a show you've ever
Oh,
heard
yeah,
of?
yeah. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
it's a show
And so
you'd
they
like.
actually did a very brief US adaptation, which I remember because, like many people my age, I was on a big improv kick due to the success of Whose Lines Is It Anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a person, usually a celebrity, that is thrown in like the middle of a scene where everyone else is like in costume and there's a decorated set, and they basically have to like play it out as if they're dropped in knowing what's happening.
Yeah, it's just improv. You know, they're also in
Yeah.
costume, but they go into a scene, they say Thank God You're Here, and then so I'm doing that as a comedian post merge. I really like Indy. All our best to Indy through this like unimaginably terrible thing that's happening, and
I
that's
mean,
all I have
listen,
for that.
there is a film director on this cast. Could we foster some sort of alliance of like, I love directing indies and you're an indie, so we have to work together.
That's good. This director has actually done more than indies, I think. So, but yes, in
Yeah.
general, yeah, you might be an
I,
indie.
I had her on The Circle, actually. I think that as a very outspoken personality and very funny and very good with one-liners, I think she would actually be very good in an environment where, like, that's all you do, where the game is all about messaging and what you communicate to others without necessarily using any personal qualities to it. I think she would actually be a very fun person. If anything, just to also, like, when they're stuck in the apartments right by themselves, of her, like, giving the peanut gallery commentary of like, oh my God, I can't believe that person said that. I think she'd also be perfect for that as well.
Okay. I mean, I'm glad you didn't make up a show like comedy show. No. See, this is why I don't try to come up with shows.
Go out.
Let's move
Stop
on.
it. Welcome, Matt.
Really, very happy with how that went, though. This was already worth it. Okay, Karen. Karen is a doctor, which is very brainy.
She is. She works
Where
in
am I?
orthopedic surgery, which she says in her 30-second video is the brawniest field. Because I guess there's a lot of things with
The
feet
body?
in brawn. I mean, I'd say general doctors work with the body, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's the brawniest. I don't think there's a brawniest type of medicine. I think medicine is a brainy profession.
Sports medicine, I think, is the brawniest
Okay.
medicine.
Yeah, you're right. You already nailed it. So she's actually wrong because there is one, but it's not this. It's sports medicine.
But
Yeah.
she's all about, again, typical Australian survivor, right? Like, use your occupation, but then turn it into a personality with, like,
Yeah.
I'm usually mending things together, but here I'm breaking bones on Survivor.
It was a lot of it. It was a lot of like, we should get a doctor for the Brains Tribe. And like, I'm not saying that she's only a doctor, although I do understand it's quite a demanding profession. I do think they're really pushing that she's the doctor. And that's like most of what I got of like a video and like all of the stuff I looked at.
Right. The video was quite
Yeah.
literally like it was her divided with another Brawn person and be like, look how different they are. Is
Yeah.
Karen the person that George thought Mitch was? The evil doctor who wants to break bones on the island?
I don't think she's that either. I think it's the kind of thing that you say. Oh, right, Mitch was a doctor too. Remember Mitch? They want a doctor on the brain strap. It makes sense. But I think like she seems nice. Like she says she has a resting bitch face. Again, as someone with a resting bitch face, like please, just get to know her a little bit. There were some red flags in her bio. Like,
Is it
again, people.
the duck covered overalls that we're looking at right now?
No, I like that. What's wrong with
I love.
that?
I know. I listen. I love it. There are some incredible
I don't think that it's
wardrobe
corduroy.
choices in these casts. No, I don't think it's corduroy. I mean,
What is
listen,
it?
I'm some sort of denim. I would imagine if that's the
That's
case.
not
I mean,
good either.
yeah, but like, listen, anything's better than the freaking fur coat that Valeria brought last year. Okay, there's nowhere to go but up in terms
Well,
of utility.
actually, we'll talk about it on the next one, but there actually might be something that is as impractical. But I do think you don't want over. This is what like Geordie had a lot of. Like overalls is like annoying anyway, let alone like in the jungle. I feel, and it's a very heavy material. Anyway, this isn't his look, but that wasn't the red flag. The red flag was that she said she doesn't want to take a goat to the end. Again, people just say things, but also why? That's the game. That's so stupid. I can't reckon with this in the preseason. At least let me get to episode 23 before I rant about it. So that was
Not.
stupid.
I mean, she did not at least say the good people. She hasn't crossed that threshold yet. I do think though that attitude will help her early on because I think if she foists that attitude out there, it will bring her into like a group that considers themselves the alphas, right? Of like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to go to the end together because all these other people, they're goats. We're the ones that are hurting them around, and so I do think Karen will actually endear herself to those that maybe if they don't feel the same, at least they believe that they are not the GOAT. So like, yeah, you vote off all the other people and take me along to the end. I'm more than happy with it.
And it will help like for physicality early as well. And I do think I put her post merge because I feel like she's a brawny brain. It seems like she's pretty strong in the challenges from the video that I watched.
Yeah,
she
she has a history of rugby, I believe, from the research that I did.
That'll be good for the wrestling challenges. So yeah, she like, her life is all very planned and like controlled and like high key organization. And this is like the other end of that. I like a lot of these things. So I've put her post merge.
Yeah,
that's what I have.
I was a little eked by the control comment because it's like, yes, Survivor can be a very liberating experience in multiple ways, but we also talk about how the game, just the elements kind of wears you down to who you are as a person. I will bet you dollars to donuts that like, as much as she says it'll be nice to not have me in control of every single thing, there's going to be that little voice in the back of her head that's like, but you don't want this to happen this way. Like, don't you want control of this? I think eventually behavioral tendencies will take over, but that's not how I think she's going to go out of this game, Shannon. I have Karen going out pre-merge, but I have scripted something only Shakespeare could rival. Because I think during one of these challenges, Karen falls off an obstacle.
Why?
And breaks her foot and gets medevaced.
Why would you wish that on her?
I'm not wishing it on her.
You are. You put it out into the universe.
I mean, she talks about breaking bones. What happens if the call's coming from inside the house?
Jeez. Wow, you wanted to break bones. That would be terrible, okay? And then probably another lawsuit would be on hand for the show. We don't need that.
It's been, about like 2 years since we've had a lawsuit? So we're due for one.
Yeah, exactly. The bi-yearly, but every 2 years lawsuit. So we hope that doesn't happen, obviously. That's really why you have her going pre-merge, because she gets medevaced?
Of course.
That's stupid.
We made suppositions off of less.
That's dumb. That's not allowed. That's not the point of the exercise. Do you have a show for her?
Yes, and I actually did some research that apparently this was a show, and I kid you not. Again, I did not make this show up, but there was at one point a reality show called My Feet Are Killing Me, footnotes. And I think that would be her college. No.
What is it?
It's
What
a
is
real-
it?
My feet are killing me.
No, I got
colon.
the time. I heard you the first. Thank you so much. What was it about?
I mean, it's one of these, we have them a lot on TLC here in the States, and then I
Like
think
a
it's
medical show?
yeah, doctors Ebony, Brad, and Sarah take on extreme feat and change lives. I think there's a
Jeez, I don't
very
know
particular set
what
of people out
extreme
there
feat is.
that kept that show going for quite a while.
I hope to go my whole life without knowing what constitutes an extreme foot.
I also feel like they were maybe a little extra with this title. Like, do one or not the other. Unless this is a spin-off, we don't need the colon footnotes. This is not CSI. We're not doing locational differences here with another
Yeah,
foot-based pun.
Footnotes was probably a bit too vague, but they probably liked the pun. I understand. I'm not gonna, throw stones at that glass house. But I just had her in a show called Medical Emergency. I looked up Doctor Show, Doctor Reality TV.
So
She's a
that's what I
doctor.
did as
That's
well,
most
which led
of
me
they do.
to my Peter
Right,
Killing
but you did
colon
foot. I didn't put
footnote.
in. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's yeah. She said she wants to buy back her parents' property in Sri Lanka if she wins because they sold it to pay for a uni. But you've wished a Medivac on her. Heartless.
Well, listen, if she gets a payout from Channel 10, she can
be careful what you wish for. That's the way to do it. You're right. Damn, it's really unfortunate how that's the way that's going to happen. But okay, moving on from and then what? So then, but it feels like I can't go past the welcome mat because it feels like wipe your feet or like there's so much there.
Yeah, like watch your step.
Watch yeah, exactly for the soon to be Medivac. God forbid. God forbid. Anyway, we're doing. I think we can
I don't think
workshop
God
that
likes
together.
Karen.
What did Karen do to you? Why?
I don't know. Yeah.
All right, Laura is here. She's been on
Yes,
screen
let's
for like
talk
30
about.
seconds. We've just
Let's
been
talk about
not talking about it.
arguably
Yeah.
one of the stars of like the big brouhaha. Once the cast released, because obviously a very eye-popping profession of witch, especially now, very prescient. It's a good time to be a witch in the discourse. Though I will note, she did say in her bio she's also an actor, and methinks that when it comes to the marketing that comes with reality TV casting, she very understandably led with witch, because that's what gets you in the door through the welcome mat.
You don't think actor does?
No, unless you're Pia Miranda, probably not.
Yeah, well, witch is gonna definitely catch some eyes. And I talked about this in the kickoff, but it's just such a good paragraph. I'll read it again. Laura calls herself a witch because she's a woman who knows what she wants and wants to take back the stigma in the title. I love that it's just like, she's just a strong woman. She's not an actual witch. And then it's like, and also because she has over 250 crystals, uses spells in the daily, and knows how to manifest through her spell work and magic. So yeah, that's a real witch. I went through this with Kara. Kara being an empath, and I was like, I don't believe in any of this stuff. And like, since I've gotten to know Kara, and like, I believe in it less, actually, I think. So I really have not been converted to this like whole spiritual thing, but like, Laura, you can try, but it has not worked to this point. So
see, this is really interesting for me because, and I'm sure everyone thought this upon looking at me at first glance, I have secondhand contact with witches. My in-laws, the place that they used to own, had a big open field, and there was a Wiccan community that existed in the area, and they would often hold holidays, ceremonies, gatherings in the open field. I've attended a couple of Wiccan weddings. There were a couple of Wiccans in my wedding. My sister-in-law is a practicing Wiccan, so...
No, Mike, 7 years of friendship, and no, you're making this up.
I'm an enigma, Shannon Guss. You've said that many times.
How could you have told me that in these years? Like, look how interesting you are. That doesn't even get brought up in 7 years.
But it has no relation to me. I just observe it. I'm a casual observer.
It's just such an interesting fact.
It's really interesting because obviously there's a lot of, again, I'm kind of taking Laura for her word here that like there is a lot of stigma, I think, associated with what that entails. But like, I think honestly, a lot of what she is communicating is in line with what I have seen from the craft in my, very limited exposure to it, that it's a celebration of the elements, that it is about readings of energies, of auras as well.
Yeah.
So that's why, honestly, Shannon, I have Laura making the merge. I think that, yes, on paper, she is our kooky female contestant, Kelly being the most recent example of that. But people also forget that, like, Kelly was one, Kirby swing away from making that merge as well.
Well,
So
that in itself was insane. And also, to be fair, Kelly's like also a unicorn. Like, not everyone's
yeah.
Kelly in Kelly's way as well.
But that's the thing, is that I do think, and granted, they are playing it a bit in the 30-second preview, that she does go down a bit of like, Kent seems like he can't be trusted. Miles is strategic. I don't think she's going to explicitly be like, I got a bad aura from this person, so I can't work with them. I think she's level-headed enough that she is not going to go full kooky, at least initially. And so I do think that, like, when she talks in her bio about being kind of hippy-dippy and down to earth, again, with the experience I have with people who are practicing, I think that's the vibe that she is going to give off. I think a lot of the energy and aura stuff is going to be reserved for the confessionals. There might be some sequences where, like, people give her side eye for stuff, but I do think compared to some of the other wackadoodles that we've had in Australian Survivor, I don't think she's getting that type of edit this season.
I don't know. I mean, I have her pre-merge because in the small clip we got of her, we already got all of that. Like, she's, like, they said railroading. I do think, because they said that the way that her witchness will manifest is that I read people's energies and see your aura by seeing little colors above people's head that tell me what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and how they're handling any given situation. It's a skill I'll be using out here. So it's like a mood ring for, like, people. Like synesthesia, but not
that was
in
my
music.
merch idea, if we still went with that idea.
The mood ring?
Yeah.
Well, my welcome mat is Spelcom. I'm so good at this.
C-O-M-E.
Well, I'm so yeah, okay. Yes. I'm so good at the mat thing. I think that I should create my own line of welcome mats. The first was the Diplo mat that I thought you created, and I've literally just been hit after hit since then. If anyone wants to purchase my welcome mats, let me know. Maybe I can start a business. But here's my I like Laura a lot. I don't believe in any of this stuff, but I thought the fact that she, like, clocked Miles as strategic was really funny to me. Because look at Miles. Okay, we're gonna get to Miles, but, like, that's not a witch. That's someone with eyes. Like,
well, that's what's gonna be fun about it. Like, we are gonna be treated, and maybe I'm also manifesting that she lasts a long time, because we need, like, a James Miller on steroids runner of Laura making all these reads about people that are incredibly incorrect. Of like, oh, I'm sure this person has an idol. I just detect it on them, only for them to completely be on the outs of everything. Like, I just need that irony to be the lifeblood and water of the season. I think something that also might help with her longevity is that she is someone that talked the most about her preparation in her bios, where she talked about how she has 3D printed puzzles. She had a backyard full of challenges. And so I do think, again, as opposed to some of the other kookier contestants that we've encountered in seasons past, like, she does have utility as well in some of these challenges. And I don't think she'd also be the person to, as much as she might be railroading people, like, I could see her get thrown onto a puzzle and become that sort of go-to necessity for her tribe.
Well, the things I liked the most were, like, the non-witch things, like she's a super fan and the prep. And she went to the Eras tour. Let's hold that for later. Because I was thinking, what kind of witch? Because you would think reputation witch, but she seems like unicorny, like, type of lover type witch. But put a pin in that. Okay, a lot of people went to the Eras tour, which so did she. I like all of that stuff. I like Laura a lot, but I just feel like the clip was very negative. So I've put her pre-merge. I've put her on the Traders. Because I feel like they always kind of have a clairvoyant. Yeah.
So did I. Yeah, well, because I think it's also a bit top of mind. Those of us who watched the most recent episodes saw basically what I've been trying to have happen with Laura, which is
don't spoil it. No, don't spoil it.
A particular person says, I'm good at reading energies, therefore
and don't spoil what happens. Yeah, but that is what happened. Yeah, that's not enough.
And then I
feel like people get annoyed if we're, like, spoiling a recent, but, like, yeah, someone said I'm good at reading energies. That's a lot of the traders.
The outcome goes one way or the other way. I will be that vague about it. So I want more of that from Laura. And I think in a game, especially early on, like the Traders, where it's like, your foot faced a little differently just now. That would be Karen's behavior to pick up on. I think that's Trader-like behavior.
Of course it did. She's injured. She fell off the challenge. Of course it's facing differently.
She would make Everest out of a molehill. And so I think that is the perfect show to put her on.
All right. Well, big Traders month, not in Australia at the moment, but internationally, Laura can be our representative on the US Traders one day. We have Logan. Here's Logan. Do you have everything you want to about?
Yeah, this pose is killing me. This is when we start getting into like my favorite cast photos, because it's not even the outfit,
Oh.
it's the body language, which I'm obsessed with this. Was she This is the ultimate example of I don't know what to do with my hand, so I'm gonna put my wrist on the top of my head. Like
It's
I'm
like a model shot.
exhausted hiking to get here.
Yeah, it's kind of like I might faint, like Southern
Yeah.
Belle, a little bit
Oh, I
maybe.
do declare.
Yeah, yeah. Logan is a wag. She's Jason
Yeah.
Johannessen's wife, who is a player for the Western Bulldogs in the AFL. She is studying a Bachelor of Business with a major in marketing. She's a mum of two, a young mum from the age of 22. She also went to the Eras tour. Okay, this is what I was. Okay, so I know roughly 2% of Australia went to the Eras tour. Okay, I calculated that as well. So it's not, but maybe they talk about it. Maybe they talk about the Eras tour. Maybe they say, "What era are you?" Maybe Logan says, "I'm fearless." I kind of feel like she'd be fearless, and then Laura's like,
Oh,
"I'm
should,
lover,"
should
and then
this
they
be
talk about
the
it.
our miscellaneous category next year? Is what era of Taylor Swift are they?
When this started happening, I definitely thought about making it, and then I thought people will really be annoyed by that. You're gonna feel one type of way about that. You get like love it or hate it. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't go with it, but I did for these two people. I thought about their era. Okay, and maybe next year we do it.
Yeah. So Logan, talk to me about Jason Johansson. Like how popular of an athlete is he?
How popular is he?
Yeah, is he like one of the bigger names
Yeah,
in his
I
sport?
mean, he's a name I know as a fan
Mm-hmm.
of AFL. I think he won the Norm Smith medal, which is like the best in like the Super Bowl like grand final. I think
Gotcha.
that was what
Okay.
he won.
It's like
Yeah,
an
I think he's
MVP
a
basically.
yeah. I think he's like a big player for the Bulldogs. Like he's not like a household name that you would
Yeah.
know if you don't watch football.
Okay.
But he's the
Okay.
kind of name like fans of that team and like fans of AFL would know. Yes. Is that good information?
I
I don't know.
Yeah, I really like Logan.
Okay.
Because to me, and it just has a lot of similar DNA to me with Shawnee. Because I think back to Champions versus Contenders 1, and our girl getting done a disservice 3 weeks into the season when she was building that lower third as pro skateboarder's wife. That it was like, oh, this is someone whose husband is, the breadwinner, and she just kind of like sits by and does nothing. And obviously, Shawnee's reputation nowadays speaks for itself and will continue to do so. And I kind of get a similar vibe here from Logan in that,
Wow, that is high praise.
well, I think that she is, and yeah, a high bar to clear, but I think she is able to kind of obscure herself under this WAG title. Now, look, it also might come with its fair share of like, do you really need the money? Do we really want to keep taking you in this
Yeah.
vein?
Yes. I mean, like she'd be doing fine, but like we don't. Our athletes don't get paid as much as your athletes. Okay. Like I'm sure that they get money, but I don't think that they're like. I'm just. I don't know. I don't have
But
expertise in this.
but I
Yeah.
think I imagine the assumptions about the life of a wag are fairly similar to the Americanized version, and I think she could take advantage of that in that it would make her rather unsuspecting, and the fact that she is pursuing a major in business and marketing, and that she does have the fierceness and patience that comes with being a mother. She also I've watched a few of her TikToks. I think she's very personable as well. I think she's someone that could really surprise people both in and out of the season.
I feel like she surprised me because I have a primo just due to the stigma. Like I feel like
Oh,
she can't overcome that, but then that I'm willing to be surprised. You know what I mean?
for me it was, I do think she has the capacity to be as cutthroat as she's indicating. There are, of course, to your point, plenty of people that are like, yeah, I'm gonna go in and smother them and leave no lives behind. But I think that Logan is somebody that I feel could be the smiling assassin that she claims she is. That is someone who will be very underrated just due to how she comes across and the world that she comes from, and is able to like really utilize that social capital when it ends up falling into her lap. Also, she's an ex-ballerina as well, so from like
Okay,
a physicality, flexibility
that is
perspective, that can
very
help on
good.
those individual challenges.
Haley was a ballerina,
She
so
was. Oh,
that'd
I
be
didn't know that.
yeah, that'd be very helpful. I think she was. Yeah.
Yeah,
So okay, maybe I'm not seeing it. I have a pre-merge. I'm happy to be wrong. I do feel like Shawnee is a unicorn. I feel like
yeah.
that's tough, but I might be wrong. I have it on the Real Housewives of Melbourne.
Yeah, so I put her on Real Housewives, or we just came out with actually a show on Netflix in the States called Wags to Riches, which focuses specifically on the wives and girlfriends of a bunch of athletes. So, like, that would be perfect for her. But yeah, there is a bit of crossover, Shannon, with a previous Survivor castaway. Have you seen this at all?
No. Oh my God. I thought I did research. Please help me.
So, in the announcement post that she made on Instagram, which I will also say, with one exception, like everyone on this tribe, let's just say one person on this tribe is on Twitter, everyone else is on Instagram. Like
Who's on Twitter? I
Instagram,
couldn't find anyone on Twitter.
Miles is on Twitter.
Oh, Miles. Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, but everyone else is on Instagram, so
Fuck
that's
that Miles was
largely
on Twitter.
where I seeded my research. But I also looked at
Yeah.
Logan's TikTok. She tells some very fun stories about like happening to have a few
Yeah, I gotta
chance
go to
encounters
TikTok.
with Harry Styles. But
Oh.
there was when she posted about being on the cast, there was a comment from none other than Sophie Keisha saying, quote, "Really wish you called prior, ... That outfit, babe, is making me freezing."
I'm gonna. That does that. Okay. That's not who I thought you would say. I don't know where I thought it was going. It makes sense. Sophie's kind of like in the football world. And there are actually a lot of like well-known Western Bulldogs or former Western Bulldogs player wags.
Oh.
So I feel like she might be like in that community. I feel like knowing Sophie Keisha isn't necessary. And we know she knows Sophie Keisha and didn't call her. So it's like the first part might actually be a negative for how she's gonna do, but then the second part actually improves it. So I guess I'm back to neutral.
Yeah, she's like, if you see Sam Gash out there, you tell her something.
Anyone who even looks like Sam Gash, can you point them out? Okay, I was panicking because I couldn't think of a good welcome mat, and I thought I can't have the streak end here. I'm doing this on the fly. Really, I mean, impressive. I found it. Okay, it came to me. It's a welcome mat that says "Welcome and Goodbye."
Yeah, baby.
Wow.
Acronym
Yeah,
it up.
Okay.
Well, welcome and
These will be
goodbye.
available to purchase.
The real aloha of welcome mats.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's
Really
welcome mat. You
about
never
it.
know if you're coming or going.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's what a welcome mat is, right? Like it's both. You come into the place, you leave. Where am I? There's so many things. Okay, here we are. Next person.
Zara.
Zara.
My favorite cast photo out of the Brains tribe. Because why? Why is she showing less Survivor castaway and more so buff model at this point? Because that's essentially what she's doing in wearing the buff on her wrist and presenting it in the foreground of the photo.
I think I understand why. Because Zara's big into fashion.
Yes.
Right? Zara has 80,000 Instagram followers, big fashion account, always traveling at these like high fashion events in Paris, like crazy stuff. And so I guess if you were to like show off some sort of accessory like this is, you would do that.
But like, this isn't her own accessory. It's one that was given to her.
And so are all of these high fashion events.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, she's not a designer.
Oh, no, you know what? This actually makes so much sense.
Yes.
This is a reflex. This is her doing hashtag content, hashtag sponsorship, right? Her being like,
exactly.
"Oh, you gave me this buff?
Exactly.
Great. I know how to show it off."
Exactly.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Okay.
Exactly. So that's Zara. She's vice president of the PTA, which was something I really enjoyed on the kickoff because I feel like president of the PTA sounds like a really like funny, specific role that you would put into like a sitcom, but vice president is so much better. Like it's
so perfect. Now I wonder what the situation was there. Like, is she lying in wait for the opportune moment to take it over? Is she more so happy with being a number two? Because I think that's
vision.
Because that's going to inform a lot about how she plays, right? Like, if you are in a 1-2 dynamic, are you happy being subservient, or are you saying like, I'm biding my time until I eventually take your seat?
I completely agree with you. Just hearing vice president of the PTA, you picture like there's a coup brewing, right?
Yeah.
Not like the witch, but like and that's why I'm glad that you see the vision of why that's so entertaining. She's a stay-at-home mom of 3. She says she's the CEO of her household. I do think that's a really tough job. She seems really impressive. Like Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, Bachelor of Law, a Master of Economics in International Finance. She's a qualified solicitor, a qualified financial planner. She's an ex-cheerleader. She's a marathon runner. Why do I have her pre-merge? Oh, here I have it. Pre-merge, people hate moms. But that's a lot of good credits on the list.
Oh, that's
I think I might change. Maybe I change her.
No, I have. So I have her slated to make the merge, but maybe here's a little bit of a hot
I think
take.
I'm going to change her to post-match.
Okay, I think she is going to be one of the most invisible players of the season.
Really?
Because
Why?
I think that I agree. I think her resume is incredibly extensive. And I think especially from an athletic perspective, like the fact that she ran the New York Marathon, there's so many individual Australian Survivor challenges that are endurance based, even not even from a how long can you stand. It's like run back and forth this number of times. I think she is perfect for that. For me, it's what she espoused in her bio, which is like, as the vice president of the PTA, I'm open. It's all about being open to everyone's opinions, making sure that everyone is heard. She says, I apply because I want my kids to like see what their mom can do in challenges. There really wasn't anything about like, and I'm going to play the game like this. And again, yes, sometimes people in these bios overcompensate by saying that they are going to, take no prisoners, leave no friends, etc., etc. But to me, that stood out a bit in that Zara could be someone, and I don't know how much of a Survivor fan she is, who could be someone to more so like go along to get along, to be like, yeah, sure, I'll just go with that. And those types of people do not get a lot of content on Australian Survivor, right? Like if you are leading the move, that is your episode. I don't see Zara leading a lot. I think she has a lot of great skills to be kept around for a considerable amount of time, especially into the individual game. But I don't know if I necessarily see her peeking out to make these big moves that some of these other people are doing.
Yeah, and it's not like a profile, even a much bigger profile than hers, will garner content. Although from this tribe, it is interesting that she's the only one really that at least on Instagram, okay? I'm not on TikTok, okay?
Yeah.
I'm 31. I'm scared of TikTok, okay? I'm scared of amateur comedy and TikTok. Those are my two fears that I would put on my bio. But on Instagram, to have 80,000 followers, but it's weird to see the rest of the tribe don't really have followers, which is kind of strange for Australian Survivor. But I feel like maybe that'll be more on the Brawn tribe, who are probably like, like athletic models kind of thing. So she does have the profile of this tribe, but I see what you mean. I also just put her on Real Housewives, by the way.
Okay, I put her on What Not to Wear, which was
that's good too.
Long-running, American show where basically personal stylists redid an entire person's life, which I think Zara would be able to do. Like, oh, have you tried wearing a buff on your wrist and brandishing it?
Also, I'm phoning it in when I'm like, you can also go to Real Housewives, I guess. I'm also watching a lot of the traitors.
The second that somebody crosses her, could someone please Photoshop a middle finger in her cast photo? Because it's just right for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really upsetting that I have a pre-merge and you have a purple when seems like a well-rounded, very impressive person. But this is, Survivor's not fair. And as a welcome mat, it's like I want to do something punny, but I just know she would never have that. Like her welcome mat is like Louis Vuitton. That's how I feel it is.
Diamond plated.
Like I want it to be funny, but I also want it to be realistic, right? So it's designer, and that's where we're at. Those are all the women. We did pretty well, I think. I think that we got a little bit back on track. Let's get to nope. There's so many screens that I have. Okay, here we are. Where are we? And then we go to, and here we are. And it's AJ. AJ is a poker champion. He's a super fan of the game. He says, I'll say things like, you did so good. I love that blindside. That was so smart. Of course it wasn't smart, but I'm going to tell him it was. I love that because I want to see him just be like, you did so good. I love that blindside. That was so smart.
Cut to, it wasn't good.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I guess his dastardly plan is to like be nice to people, which is, I mean, it's like mind blowing,
So, Shannon, I feel like AJ kind of did our job for us a little bit in that he kind of has, I wouldn't exactly call it a reality show, but it's kind of in the same ballpark. He has a YouTube show called High Stakes Heroes. Which is
I watched the trailer of it.
Yeah, so I've watched a little bit of like one of the episodes. It's a home poker game where him and a bunch of friends play and they occasionally bring in guests. And then basically they all have these like envelopes, and sometimes they contain money and sometimes they contain punishments. And so periodically you'll have like people getting pied in the face. You'll get like people having to strip their clothes off and play that way for the rest of the episode. And so it's interesting as well in that like, yes, he is a poker player, and we'll get into the skill set and obviously what that might lead to in terms of perception, but he's also like a low-key content creator as well and producer, which I think is also a very fun element to bring in.
But also all the episodes were from after filming Survivor.
That's true. Oh, they
But,
all
like,
were? I thought they were running
I th
before as well.
no, I think that it was from after Survivor. So it's possible he went out there and was like, "You know what? I actually love the camera."
Yeah,
And
and I
now
will
well, it was
say
probably in the works for a while. I don't know.
he does have a commendation. He is much like Zara holding up his wrist because he has a World Series of Poker gold bracelet. Actually, he defeated this might have been like several years ago, but he defeated Phil Hellmuth, which is a very notable poker professional. He beat him in one of the tables in Vegas, and so it means he's pretty darn good at it. I guess what I can't look past, Shannon, is what the hell is he going to tell his tribe that he does?
I
Does
know,
he
this
say
is
he's
the
a
issue.
Rubik's Cube champion?
Yeah, well, I mean, has a, like, before they played, professional poker player as their, like, job, has that person ever done well? Do we have one example of that
Boston
person making the
Rob.
merge? Boston Rob wasn't, like, a poker player when he went on to Marquesas,
Oh, you mean
right?
like so you meant sorry, I thought you meant before they were poker players. So you want someone whose job it was to be a poker player who
Yeah,
made it
like,
far into
George
the
plays
game.
poker now, but,
Yeah.
like, I mean, George plays poker in general, but that's not George's, like, full-time job. But, like, Boston Rob has become a poker player, but, like, he went on being Boston, and then he became, like, Boston Rob, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, John Robert is obviously like the biggest one that
Well,
I
that's
think
very
made it
sad.
and made it the furthest. Yeah, that's why people talk about how poker players don't do
Yeah,
incredibly well in
exactly.
Survivor.
John Robert's, like, a ridiculously good poker player though, right? Like, globally
I
renowned.
think he was the most well-known poker player. I mean, we could get into it a whole aside that like Garrett Adelstein got into a very recent controversy that maybe brought him a bit more into the limelight recently, but I believe that Jean Robert is the biggest name poker player to appear on the show.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the poker thing is the issue because the stigma is very bad. I mean, you think there's a stigma with
Yeah.
witches, the poker player thing. Yeah, and what do you say? And then you have to lie. Jackie has said to me in an interview, even with poker player being like maybe the worst profession to give, she still wishes she hadn't lied because it was still not like the juice still wasn't worth the squeeze.
Right.
So maybe he just doesn't.
That's your big theory, right? Is like you shouldn't come into the game lying about your age or your job or anything because like that's an additional thing you have to weigh into
Yeah,
the
there's always a
calculus of
layer of
everything
distance.
else going on.
Yeah, so I still kind of hope that he just says poker player and people just kind of get over it. I mean, we're on the Brains tribe,
I mean, I guess
but
that
it's probably
it could,
something he won't do.
it could be a sort of interesting mental math though, right? Of like, I'll show you how upfront I am. I don't hold my cards close to my chest. Haha. I'll tell you what I do. I'm a poker player. Maybe that's why he's also very much skewing into like the flattery will get you everywhere. I'm going to support everyone's ideas. Though again, if you're out there, how can you not have this voice in the back of your head being like, is he just telling me this because he's a poker player and he has the better hand than I do?
Yeah. I have him pre-merge. I have everyone pre-merge. It's really
I was going to say, you already say, you
yeah.
said like, oh, this Brains tribe actually won't be too bad. Also, they're all going to get voted out pre-merge.
That's what I'm saying. It's because I'm judging them individually. They seem like they'll be a good tribe, but I just feel like, you know, poker players do badly. I feel like there's a cocky energy where he's like, I want to be the best global survivor player. Like we recently had that with Gabe. He's like, I want to be on the Mount Rushmore. It's like, just focus on doing well in this season.
Don't put the cart before the horse, especially because, the 46-day horse.
Even if you were to play like the best game ever of this season, I still probably wouldn't call you the best global survivor player. Like that happened in Survivor South Africa, right? Someone plays the best game. He's actually going to play AUV World later in this year. Like probably the best newbie game I've probably ever seen. And even then, like he's only in the conversation, right? Like there's a lot of good like returnee players. It's hard to build a legacy. Like just focus on doing well today, AJ. So I don't love that. He says he's not an outdoorsman in terms of camping. But then, like, you also see on his Instagram that he, like, hikes and stuff. Like, that doesn't count as, like, hating the outdoors. Okay, I hate the outdoors. I don't go outside. That's what it means to hate the outdoors. You are hiking. Different.
Yeah, that's the thing that it did make me nervous initially because I thought that, okay, will he be the one that complains the most? A la Garrett, right? Where's my plate of chicken being brought to me? But to your point, he has a very scant Instagram presence, but a lot of it is of him, like, on these picturesque nature hikes. So, like, I think he'll do relatively okay roughing it. I also had him going pre-merge just because, I don't know, if he doesn't get voted out initially due to the impressions from his job and being perceived as shady, then as soon as they do a swap and he's introduced to a whole other group of people, it's going to be the exact same process over again of like, oh no, you're a poker player. Great. We're going to get rid of you now.
Yeah.
And so I'll be intrigued to see what he does. I mean, I think he has a really good personality. And again, I think the the skill set it takes for him to like create that content that he does, I think actually takes a surprising amount of skill to like maintain conversations, to make sure that, things are moving at all times. I think that actually carries over really well to managing conversations on a day-to-day basis. It's just tough to not look a card shark in the mouth and only see teeth.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been quite hard to podcast with 20% of my brain and try to come up with the welcome mass with like 80% of my brain. I have him on the circle because I feel like
Okay.
that has bluffing, right?
Yeah, it definitely has bluffing. You could catfish as somebody else. I put him on Big Brother because it's a long game, and I think that idea of like poker tournaments being days-long battles of attrition, and also Big Brother, especially the US version, Shannon, as you experienced from your brief dip in,
Yeah.
specializes in wild, wacky, arguably stupid punishments, and that's kind of what he does on High Stakes Heroes as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that they do is things that would make, would be child's play compared to some of the stuff they do on Big Brother proper.
Yeah, like on Big Brother, they were like randomly dressed in like a rowing outfit with like, lugging around a
Yeah.
kayak. In this,
Not
there
to
was someone with a
mention,
watermelon on their head. It's the same thing.
Well, not to mention, you ask, what Survivor players are professional poker players and went on to do well. Some would argue one of the best people to never win Big Brother was a professional poker player when she
Vanessa?
played. Yeah, Vanessa Rousseau.
Yeah, I don't know how this stuff just like it seeps into my brain. But yeah, I mean, like you eat slop on Big Brother, they were eating dog food on this. Like it is,
Yeah.
that does make sense. I think that probably works. So you help me workshop a welcome mat. I've got like, so like fold, bluff, raise, like poker type terms.
I mean, could it just be like ante up?
I don't know what that is.
Ante up is like you throw your money into the pot to start.
I don't know. It's not our best. Maybe we circle back.
Okay, how about a deck of cards and it says deal with it?
But why is that on a welcome mat?
I don't know. Could be a rebuffed message. Like, I'm not home. Deal with it.
Yeah, okay, so that is kind of rude. Yeah. I'm not home. Deal with it. I think you have to put in I'm not home.
I'm not home. Deal with it.
I love that. Okay, great. Thank you. You can be brought in as like a
no, you know what? Actually, it's perfect. On the one side, it says that when you're home, flip it over, arrow points to the door, all in.
Nice. Oh my God, Mike, that's brilliant. That's the best one you've come up with since you came up with the Diplo.
This is the idea that I actually didn't have.
Yeah.
That you Mandela affected.
That I created, actually. I was the brains behind the whole operation. Okay, here we are. Here's Kaylin. Did we get everything with AJ? I think we did.
Yeah.
Kaylin's a PhD student. Kaylin is like, it was annoying me because he's like perfect. It was really irritating me.
Really?
It's like
I literally wrote in my notes because I have him making the merge, but I said there is no way this guy's gonna get past like 9th place because he is so
100%.
perfect in
like
so many ways.
Boost. Exactly. He's a PhD student. He's like, it says ball of energy, like clearly, like seemingly like really kind. He's an athlete. He's an ex-engineer who now uses AI to scout and map vegetation by drone around Antarctica. As I talked about this on the kickoff, but like he's like surfed. He's a professional paddle boarder. He's played rugby. I've lived in a tent for extended periods. I've slept on the beach. I've lived in a van. And then I went to his Instagram and the bio was like skiing the length of Norway to raise funds for Cottage by the Sea. I was like, screw you, Kaylin. Okay, leave something for someone else.
But it's interesting though, because you would think like almost like a Matt, the lifeguard from Heroes vs. Villains, like, oh, you're too pure for this game. But then he also says in his bio, like what he loves about Survivor is this is a life-size board game. How fun is that? As long as you're in the rules of the game, nothing is immoral. But also you must judge what people think is immoral, so you get votes at the end. Like, yes, that's the entire conceit of Survivor in a nutshell.
He's a brain too. Yeah, like this is so. He also says he can talk about like footy and sport with the Brawns, and then with the Brain Tribe, he can talk about literature. I'm like, yeah, we have Parlance for that. As a Swiftie, he knows how to ball and he knows Aristotle. He's both, okay? So
was he also on the Eras tour?
No, not that I saw actually. So, but I mean, look, other people might have been there without posing. I have actually one person who's not Kaylin who might have been there, but who did a post about it. I do think what he said Haley was his favorite. I'm like, you're perfect. But then he said, I want to play her game, but also improve on it. And I was like, wait a damn minute, Kaylin, okay?
I will not get
no
voted
improvement
out.
necessary. Okay, she got voted out due to the twist. And you can't improve upon her game because it's perfect. So, Kaylin, I'm going to let that one slide because I think otherwise you're ridiculous. Like, stop it. It's annoying me.
we'll talk about someone actually very soon who I think could present themselves as the leader of the Brains. I think this will be the actual leader of the Brains, and that I think
But
a
he seems
lot
kind
of
of young.
it doesn't matter though. He does so much freaking stuff. I think a lot of
No.
people are going to, because I think he's also going to be such an asset. I think a lot of people are going to look to him to make decisions of like, okay, we trust you, right? Like we rely on you for all this stuff. Inherently, we trust you. So you tell us what to do in all of this. I think he presents himself as well as like incredibly affable. I don't think he's necessarily going to stick out as like, oh my God, he's super sharky. I guess the only question mark I had is like, what is he going to say about what he does? I mean, again, compared to someone like AJ, it's going to be small potatoes, but like, if you're on the Brains tribe, how much can he mask that? Can he not say that he's a PhD student? Because otherwise, yeah, that'd be a perfect thing to hide amongst all the other things that you're doing. But if
But you're
I'm
a
playing the
brain.
metagame, I'm side-eyeing a little bit blank. Were you just like a layup? Were you the Sean Hampson that they gave us to help us with
Yeah.
the challenges? Otherwise, what are you doing here?
Exactly. It's like something has to at least somewhat rival the clear brawniness that's self-evident. At least, if not eclipse it for you to be a brain. Or the casting just makes no sense. They have to sell something to the audience. So what is that?
And it'll be interesting though if like he ends up forming this AI alliance, because you can't spell alliance without AI, with Ali, and like it's mutually assured destruction. Like both of them are masquerading their own AI identities and they keep each other secret.
Yeah, well, there is the AI connection. It's really 2025, hey? Like, Survivor's been going on since 2000. Look where we're at. So, Kaylin has a lot going on. Kaylin will come 10th. That's it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
honestly, like God, it's incredibly blasphemous for many reasons to make this comparison, but I think on screen, he is Joey Amazing. To
I said
me.
he's Kaylin Amazing. I have that here.
Yeah,
Although I also have the last time I thought that was Nathan from last season. So, like, people have been wrong before, right? It's mainly me.
Yeah, we'll
So,
see if we have a
yeah.
Letterman's jacket to bring that will just make its way around like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. But yeah, he really does seem so well equipped at so many elements of this game that I think, much like Joe does every single time he plays, once that merge hits, like I don't think he's gonna let off the gas. He's gonna start winning challenges, and it's just gonna make his threat level even worse, so that like people will let bygones be bygones, put down their weapons, and be like, can we just all agree to get rid of Kaylin at this point?
But you won't
Kato
want to
Kalen's gonna be
because it'd be
staying in
like
the guest
shooting a
house that is the
puppy.
jury villain.
No, I don't know. I think that I think you might not want to, but then you'll be like, we have to. That's why I said 10th, because if they like merge at 14 for a couple of rounds, you're like, but Kaylin, you might win a couple of challenges. Then like 10th or 9th, you're like, okay,
Well,
this
yeah,
isn't
because
a
I think
charity.
especially in that first
Unlike the
merge,
charity that you are skiing for.
yeah, I think in that first merge phase, it's a lot of like, all right, let's just like throw out names of people that we've been waiting to take out, and then once they do, it's like, all right, can we all just agree that Kaylin's really the tallest poppy among us, like 3 feet taller than any of us at the moment? So let's just chop that thing right off, do some proper gardening, send him off, send Kaylin to the guest house that is Jury Villa, and have him stay while we do the killing in the main house.
What's the house thing?
I was making a reference to Kato Kaylin, who was
Oh. Right. I like the first one, like it's just something that I don't understand, which it was, and now I understand that it's an OG.
I could have made a reference when Kato Kaelin was on Celebrity Big Brother, and there was a whole storyline about the fact that he was constipated, and then he got his colon massaged by a former NFL player.
This is why I don't watch the show, actually. So, but I love that you were like, you have to get the Kato Kaelin jokes in, no explanation, just like for the people who get it, get it. But I'm like, no,
Real ones
let's
get
bring
it.
everyone up to speed, me included. Okay. I know we called him Kaylin Amazing. I get that the Joey Amazing reference at this point obviously is derogatory. That's not how I mean it. I'm very complimentary of everything that Kaylin is doing. I have him as the Bachelor, right? Like Lockie was the Bachelor, and I feel like Kaylin especially. I mean, that got cancelled, but in Australia, but like definitely the Bachelor. And then I've struggled with the Welcome Mat, but I think because he's so nice, seemingly, and a student, I thought maybe it says, please have a nice day.
Oh, PhD.
Like that? Yeah. Oh, well, my jokes are hard to get, and your jokes are like, yeah, no, come on. All right.
I love it. I love that. Like, when in doubt, go with the acronym.
A lot of acrostic poems. Yeah.
So I had a couple of to go with. So I put Kaylin on Outlast because I think that he is obviously incredibly outdoorsy.
Oh, right. That's great too. Yeah.
But also Outlast.
Or like the Summit or whatever.
Yeah, and which is great too because those are like surprisingly cutthroat. And again, Kaylin had that little soundbite of him being like, listen, it's not immoral if it operates within the boundaries of the game. So like he could have a sneaky side to him. But then I also put him and Allie on the Amazing Race, AMAIZING race.
Can't spell amazing without
Because we often have on the
AI.
Amazing Race, people who are in the same occupational field. So
Wow, imagine if they bonded enough to become an amazing race pair.
I'd like to see it personally. We have some Australian Survivor crossover into Australian Amazing Race, so let's continue the trend.
100%. I mean, it's not what I would assume, but sure.
I mean,
There's a lot. Kaylin can do anything.
That's the thing. Kaylin actually seems like he would be one of these freaks that is so good at every single roadblock on the Amazing Race. Like he might be on the wrong show already. I say before I even see him on Survivor, he might be on the wrong show.
As you said it, but like we know he's gonna come 9th or 10th in this show, but I was like, if he actually was in the Amazing Race, he'd definitely win. Assuming he had a good
no matter
partner,
who he's up against.
At least
he could be up against an AI and he'll still win.
100%. Okay, so that's Kaylin. Kaylin's perfect. So that's happening with him. And this is Kent. And I'm back here on the screen. This is Kent. Kent is a business mogul. Kent is not someone who I understand. He says he gets up at 4:40 a.m. to hit the gym. 4:40 is so specific. I actually really like that. As someone who never wants like a
now.
Yeah, can't. Firstly, I know there's a 4:40 a.m. That's because I'm on the other side of it. Like I haven't gone to sleep yet. Secondly, like I've never seen 7, but I know there's a 4:40. But I actually like this because I never put like the right, like round number on my alarm. I'm never like, I'm trying to think of a respectable number. 8 or 8:30. I was gonna be like 11, right? I don't put that. I would put like 8:11. I've got so many alarms. And they're just like for 8:12, like because I'm like, I'm just gonna steal a couple extra minutes sleep.
Yeah.
And he says 4:40, and I appreciate that.
It's very negligible. I do that sometimes with 5-minute increments. I don't go to the minute as minute, quite literally as you do.
So many alarms. I have probably hundreds of alarms. I think I sent this to you once. I was like, look at all the alarms I have. Yeah, I told you about my alarms before you told me about your connection to Wiccan culture. Just by the by, where we're at in our friendship.
To say that is apples and oranges is a complete understatement.
There's nothing we don't tell each other. Like what I love about our friendship is like any thought I have, I tell you, and you didn't tell me about your extreme connection to Wiccan culture. I think that's why I'm confused. Like the most mundane thoughts we've ever had, we've told each other. We never stopped talking to each other ever. How could you?
That's not true. For me, it just kind of like pervaded my memory, and then just kind of like sinks to the bottom of the fish tank. And I very rarely clean this thing out. So it's like, oh yeah, I guess it's in there. I just haven't really thought about it recently. I only think about it when they pop up in my life. Anyway, let's talk about Kent. I can't stop talking about Kent. So Kent, he's a business mogul. I wasn't sure what they meant. In the research that I did, it seems like he's a director at a logistics company, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is that he opens his 30-second video by saying, and I quote, "I'm a multimillionaire and I always get what I want," which is like chef's kiss for an early boot on Australian Survivor, in my opinion.
That is 100% true. He says he met Jeff and Mark Burnett, which is crazy. And Rob and I were kind of debating if he met them together because we're like, Meth, listen to me. That's their couple name. Listen to me. Mark Burnett and Jeff, are they still hanging out? And like, we know about that because of Kent. And the crazy thing about it is that he didn't even like post about it on his social media. Like he so casually met them, they didn't even care to post about it on social media. Like I post my cat 17 times a day, and he met Mark Burnett and Jeff, and it's not even like he cared to post about it. I don't understand that. I don't understand a lot about what Kent is doing, other than setting irregular alarms. Clearly,
yeah. Well, it's interesting because I guess his story.
And that's why he's a multimillionaire, and I am not.
Exactly. Well, to be fair, and not to besmirch Kent's discipline or daily rigors, but he does say, when my father died, he died very wealthy and told me not to chase money. So within a few years of him dying, I chose to basically wind back and take a few months off a year to travel the world, fly helicopters, and jump out of them. So like, not to say he was kind of born at the other end of the football field, but like, he kind of was at the same time.
At least he admits it.
At least he admits it. Now the question is he going to admit it to everybody else? He's like, let me regale you around the fire on night one. When Papa died, I wiped my tears with all the dollar bills that he left me in his will.
Yeah, hopefully he has the good sense not to do that. But at the same time, like, why are you a brain? Like, he's going to have to be like, I have successful businesses that make me seem smart, surely. And like, because otherwise, why would you not be on Brawn as someone who clearly, like from his social media, is like a skier who surfs, who flies helicopters and jumps out of them, which seems really brawny. So with that in mind, he's gonna have to do something brainy and successful in braininess that he tells people, and hopefully it's not like, yeah, I have a lot of money and I use it in brainy ways.
And to that point, this guy, he cannot help but take control of the brains early on, right? Like, this is a guy who has made millions of dollars for years, taking charge, and as he says, getting what he wants. So I imagine he is going to become the most vocal leader early on. I imagine that is not going to vibe with a lot of people. Someone who might vibe with Shannon is I'm really seeing a K&K alliance. I'm seeing Kent really buddy up to Kalen. And maybe it's just because I saw him take literally a bite out of him in the video that I just saw on social media.
I thought he was taking a bite out of Max.
Was it Max or was it Kalen? I can't tell these brunette guys apart.
I thought it was Max because it's Max's like type of like colorful shirt.
Okay, well, so maybe he's just taking a bite out
and
of all the guys.
I was like, people won't like that. Then I met Max and I was like, Max is.
Well, we'll talk about Max. Max is more likely to bite Kent than vice versa.
Exactly. There's just like a kind of like biteception happening here. But look, I have Kent going pre-merge. I feel like it'll be physically helpful, although they don't need it. It's a very strong tribe. But like, I haven't seen the Brawns yet. Maybe they're just like, the monsters of brawniness compared to this. But this is like, would be by far the strongest tribe in like any new era Survivor by far, and they're the Brains tribe. But in the video that they put out about him already, which by the way, there are only some videos on social media, and I think there are others on actual television. But as more come out, like when we do the Brawn, when we like go through the rest of the preseason content and do the other cast assessment, we could like add stuff in because we only have a couple of videos to go on so far. But in the video, he's described as dangerous. He's described as making everyone nervous. He's described as running around like a madman, and he bites Max on the shoulder. So in all of that, I was like, that's kind of like 4 strikes and you're out. But then the Max thing, I pulled it back, but still 3 strikes.
I mean, that makes me wonder if he's going to be super idol hungry, not Max hungry early on. And that's something that arguably in many seasons could protect you. Now, again, we saw last season that was clearly not the case, that the first vote that the Rebels went to, they got rid of someone with an idol in their pocket without even realizing it. But if people are seeing that Kent is being shady and Kent essentially implies you can't vote me out, then that could provide him some runway, but I still think that runway is rather short. He's going to have to jump off that helicopter, make a bit of a wet landing, as it were.
Yeah, this does not look promising. I feel like Mark, changed the precedent around how bald men do on Survivor.
Yes, I was going to bring this up.
Because Kent might move them back. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this last year about how this was the case. Like, no hair, care, want to vote you out.
You're so excited about how badly he's going to do because he's bald.
Exactly. We got to have nature is healing. We got to get a reversion back to the mean here. I mean, you never know. Garrick was somebody that also certainly put up a lot of red flags last year and, like, for all intents and purposes, did not go due to his own power. Like, it was just a series of unfortunate events. Maybe that happens with Kent, that he's a lot calmer than we think, but there's just too much to me that's screaming out about his personality not to make me feel like he's going to put himself in trouble so early on here.
Yeah, so I have him on The Apprentice.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. For many reasons, maybe I don't think about The Apprentice, but I put him on Deal or No Deal Island. I think that he could kind of occupy this Dr. Will spot of like, I've already made my money, so I know how to make good deals and bad deals. I think he's someone that could be scheming, would be more than happy to tussle with the banker. And look, the doors that David has opened now for Australian Survivor to American TV show crossovers.
He could probably be the banker.
That could be the case, actually, yeah. He does have that Howie Mandel look to him.
Yeah, okay. Well, and then also, okay, so I was struggling with the welcome mat. Then you said something that made me think, you can't come in.
Ah!
Because I feel like, it's a nice house. Like, you don't want everyone coming into it, probably. And also because of his name. That was my thinking. Yeah.
Exactly. And he always gets what he wants, which is turning away people at the door.
It's a very, very specific market for this. It's just like billionaires who are kind of antisocial and their name is Kent.
Yes,
But
exactly.
like, get in touch.
You can't come in parentheses unless you're Mark Burnett and Jeff Probst.
Yeah, exactly. But not enough to post them on your Instagram. Okay, that was Kent. This is Miles, which is wrong. Okay, I did it in the wrong order. Okay, we have Max.
Max
who
was
is a
still healing from
teacher.
his bite, so he had to take a break for a second.
Yeah, I think Max is fine because let's talk about Max. Max is a teacher who has been watching since he was a kid. Okay. So that's how we started off. I didn't get a lot from the bio. It said he was a jokester, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what does that really mean? And then I went onto his Instagram, and I thought, this is a jokester.
Yes, this is.
We had very different reactions to this.
Yes. So let's do it. Let's initially, before we give our takes, let's give the people a little taste of what Max's Instagram is like. So I'm gonna share it. Okay. So you just have to add my screen.
Oh, that's me. I do that.
Okay. So this is Max's Instagram account. Let me just play, I don't know, this one in particular. And let's see what Max has to say.
This dog bites. Wolf. I'm a canine with an attitude problem. Grr, 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 grr. Wolf. I ain't no chihuahua. I'm a Doberman in a poodle's body. Grr. This doggy owns the prairie. Bad dog. Grr, grr. Wolf. Does anyone know a good therapist? Look at.
So that's Max. That's Max in a nutshell.
Yeah. I feel like we had really different reactions to this.
I love Max. I love Max a lot.
Yeah, we had pretty different reactions, I think. We had pretty different reactions.
But I think it's going to represent the fan base. I think like he's going to be such a polarizing character.
Max is a lot, and I don't want to be, negative on someone who's a lot. That feels like, glass houses, stones, pots, kettles. I understand, but like, it was a lot, Mike. And you gave one example, which I'm so glad, because I felt like you can't explain what's going on with Max's Instagram. You have to just see it for yourself. That's why we did this.
Yeah, so just a slice, but a lot of his other Instagram is, so clearly he's a primary school teacher, and he likes to put on a lot of different characters for his students. So he'll like showcase the various characters he has. He's a big accessories guy, Shannon. He'll get really along well with Zara in terms of just like he's always wearing, I don't know, he's always wearing a hat.
I feel like Zara will hate him.
Or he's always doing like some sort of bit. And so from that perspective, I go back to what you were saying. How can I judge a man for being too extra, for wearing a stupid costume, for being a goofball to children, for being an absolute silly goose out there on this internet? Isn't that what the world needs right now? And what's more, Shannon, he is a jacked jokester. He's a jackster.
Okay, amazing way to combine that. I feel like when you do it, it's endearing.
Thank you.
Can I just read my notes?
Please, yes.
I think I just was a stream of consciousness. I said, okay, I don't think I understand Max. I said Mad Max, Mischief, OMG. I said pre-merge, they're calling him Mad Max. Then I said, just show the videos. Then I said, the prankster life isn't for me. And then I guess for my show, I said, do people still do punked?
They do. I mean, they do a lot of these like hidden camera variety things. Like, it's just called social media. That. It's just social media now.
I hate pranks. I hate pranks.
What do you hate more?
I don't get it.
Pranks or getting up at 4:40 in the morning?
Or amateur comedy.
Oh, amateur comedy. What if you were pranked by being taken to a purpose amateur comedy show where someone was trying to bomb? That would be like your worst nightmare at 4:40 in the morning.
If it was at 4 in the morning. Yeah, that is it. That is actually my version of hell. Because ding, marry, kill, that, I guess. I can't marry any of those things. I can't get up at 4:40 in the morning.
I mean, you could do like a quickie. You could like a quickie wedding and annulment if you need to, like Britney Spears style.
I think amateur comedy. I think you meant to marry it for life, but like I think amateur comedy might be the best of those things. Which I thought I hated it more than anything before this podcast, and I found new levels of things that I despise.
Grass is always greener.
Like pranking. One of his videos was like he pranked his sister by making like fake poo and said the dog had like pooed on her bed. And I was like, I hate this. I just hate it. And also, is he like a content creator?
I don't know if he's a content creator. I just think he likes to do stuff around like I don't think he's getting sponsorships or anything. I just think he's a genuinely goofy personality that likes to liven up the classroom.
I hate that.
You gotta pass the time somehow, Shannon. They can be a rowdy bunch. So my take on Max is that
So when did Max get taken from the stage? Sorry.
No, I was gonna say now he's back. He's back in full fashion. Before pre-bite taken out of him. I think Max is someone that has the capacity to like. Honestly, what he reminds me of a little bit is like Christopher from Survivor UK, of like this big personality who has physicality, who like can joke around with people and like really endear himself. Again, in this 30-second video I watched, like he's doing a bunch of kooky antics that I think will actually bring down his threat level. But like he does have the capacity to act if he needs to, not only from a goofy perspective, but also make the moves if need be. Also, the fact that he is incredibly in shape and very outdoorsy, I think is going to help him a lot. Like I see him being perceived as one of the alphas early on. I think Max will do really well. I agree that I think if and when he's labeled with the Mad Max label, he will have a target on him from then on. But that's a problem for Max to worry about down the line when he has to basically win out in order to get a shot at the money here.
I just feel like the fact that they're calling him Mad Max is not a good thing. So I have him pre-merge. I feel like, again, like physically necessary, but like all these guys are jacked. So.
But are any of them Jacksters?
Jacksters. That's terrible. That's everything I hate. I can't. You compared him to Chris. I feel like for me, I'm getting Emmett vibes. And look, Emmett really grew on me. But definitely at the beginning, I was like, ah! So I feel like that's where I'm at with Max now. And I'm really hoping he has a similar trajectory to where I felt like Emmett got as a character eventually. I'm sorry, I can't.
So I think Max is so much goofier than Emmett was. I mean, that was the thing. Emmett came across as really conceited initially, right? That he was Gaston.
Yeah, that is true. That was the issue.
And so I think Max is much more self-deprecating. I mean, even look at the fact that he was barking like a dog for 30 seconds, then asked at the end if anyone has the number of a good therapist.
But why? But what was the point? What's the point of any of this? I think so hypocritical.
He has a very good sense of humor, and I think that's going to go a long way in these initial stages of the game. Now, to your point, it could all go pear-shaped towards the end of the pre-merge. We'll see how long the Fury Road will be for Mad Max at the end of the day, or if he'll be beyond Thunderdome.
These are good Australian puns. What TV show did you have for him?
So I put him on The Challenge.
Right.
I think that between obviously the immense physicality and the fact that like he has a personality, he's someone I would much rather see on The Challenge, to be honest, than like all the other random people who get recruited just purely based on strength and are just absolute nothings in terms of personality.
And then we need to workshop a Matt. Not a Max, but Matt. Something like about Max. Like Max. His name is perfect as Max because he is Max.
Max Power.
Max Power, yeah. Whose name you love to touch. Should it just be that? Just the lyrics?
Yes, just write out the lyrics to the Simpsons song.
Which is good from a copyright perspective. Or just like Max Fun Inside.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe there's some sort of prank Matt we could do. Like, wipe your feet, psych, and then it actually makes you trip.
Oh, I like that. Or it's like, oh, watch out, wipe that dog poo off your shoe.
But it has dog poo on it.
That was in your bed.
Yeah, but actually it's like, wipe your feet. And then when you wipe your feet, it actually makes them dirtier. Which screws up your house. It's stupid.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I love that. But you know what? It's all about the long game. It's all about the look on their face when you track absolute shit into your house.
Exactly. And that's what pranks are to me. Just not, they don't make sense. But that's, all right. We're at Miles now. We're going to go back to Miles. And I already feel like maybe his match should be Miles High Club.
Oh, ooh.
Enter the Miles High Club.
Well, I was going to say, like, initially, you're like, oh my god, Escandalo, but like, if you look at Miles' Instagram, like, boy's got it. He's got
Yeah.
it. So this guy, he's got a little bit of that freakiest freak element to him. So Miles is 24. He's financial analyst, Miles Qua. But he, as a hobby, does pole dancing, and he
Yeah.
posts videos on it on his Instagram, and they are so impressive. And he does them in
So
heels,
impressive.
Shannon.
He's gonna win every balance challenge if he gets there. The amount of core strength you need to be up that high on a pole upside down, like, he's
Yeah.
gonna win. Yeah.
It's grip strength. And what did we hear last year? Grip strength is the number one thing you need in these individual endurance challenges.
Yeah, literally being able to hold up your own weight is like actually a very important part of being a Survivor player.
Yeah, so it's interesting because he obviously has, you don't have to be Laura to see, again, the braininess on him, right? Stereotyping a bit, but the glasses. But he also is a self-admitted strategy nerd as well. I think Mastermind Miles is the nickname that he wanted to give himself. We'd see in his video that he's already instituting what he calls Operation Play It Cool, which, like, I don't know, maybe it's just the bisexual operational energy in him, but it's giving me a lot of Andy as well. But this idea of, like, he's saying, I'm going to hang around camp and not talk any strategy. We actually see him a la Brando rock the buff bando. So I think maybe he's trying to take a page out of Max's book and be like, I'm just the free-loving guy who's hanging around camp. I'm not talking any strategy at all, when he clearly has a capacity to do so.
Yeah, so I mean, Operation Play It Cool, is that just hanging out? Like, that's just,
yeah,
that's the operation.
It's all about branding, right? You got to have that title behind it. But what's also very interesting, Shannon, is that, and I don't know, like, listen, Australian Survivor dabbles sometimes in giving some stuff away, but, like, we outright see Miles doing well in a challenge, which is like, oh, okay. He has, so it's the classic, like, rugby-esque, like, kick the ball right from the perch into the goal, blocked by the other tribe, and, like, he does really well at it. And so that shows to me that I think if there were any, first off, the pole dancing, I think, negates any possible physical shortcomings you might think upon his stereotyping, but, like, it also shows he is being seen as an asset to his tribe from a very visual perspective.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have. Well, I mean, I just, like, Haley and George had that, and then it was, like, episodes in. So I haven't even watched the first promo again, because it has so many things like people at Tribal and stuff, and, like, now that I kind of know who they are, I'm like, I actually don't want to get attached.
Yeah,
to
they pick out, like, out of context quotes as well of, like, oh, when so and so, they redact the names, but, like, when they pulled out their idol, that's when I knew I had to act. And it's like,
yeah, it's too much.
If you can really backwards logic through this, if you will, but I'm going off of the stuff that's been presented to me. And with Miles, I get a lot of, ironically enough, green flags, despite the fact that he's not on the green tribe. And that I do think he is someone that could be in the mold of someone like a Haley, who was able to, like, just lie low, be a relatively affable, good person to their tribe until they found their opportune moment to say, yeah, no, I'm going to take out, and what was his name? Andy? Yeah. I'm going to take him out. I'm going to make my move here. Or no,
Haley? It was Joey.
Joey, that's what it was.
They were all Andy. There's only so many Andy references we can make. But look, Miles, I kind of changed him to post merge because I'm like, he's not what you would expect. He will kill the balance challenges. He might be helpful to them, again, in, like, other different challenges in ways that are, again, about holding your own body weight and also the puzzles. I think my biggest red flag for him is that he's a really big fan and he seems to care a lot, which, as we know, is a curse, right? So
you've been burned by Eden. That's really the point of it.
Oh, as if Eden was the first archetype like that. He wasn't even the only one last year. The aforementioned Andy, Nick was the OG in Australian Survivor. So many big fans of the show just, like, do not do well with the pressure of that. But he's fun. His Instagram bio is "Bye and I want to cry." Maybe that should be his welcome mat.
Yeah.
But instead of BI, it's BYE and I want to cry.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm so sad to see you. I want to cry that I have to say bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's very niche.
Honestly, that's like a phrase I want to say now when I say goodbye to people. Like, bye, and I want to cry.
Yeah, 100%. Ooh, I accidentally just made my chair go down. So it's really going well today. So he has, obviously, as we've kind of have alluded to, he has another Instagram page called Miles' Song, Sex, and Stupidity, which is what it says it is. It's not a lot of sex that I saw, but it's the pole dancing, and he's playing guitar and singing. And the first video I clicked on, Taylor Swift song. So I thought, not sure if you were at the Eras tour, but it's something you can talk about.
Yes, I did say, so I have him making the merge, but I think if and when he gets voted out and sent to Jury Villa, we're going to be treated to him writing a song about his Survivor experience. They're going to get him a guitar, put him away, and he's just going to pen a magnum opus as to his time on Survivor.
Well, I haven't post-merge, and I have him on King of the Nerds. Remember that show?
Oh, that's perfect, actually.
Yeah,
so
I was like, what's a show about nerds? And then I was like, King of the Nerds. Right?
New Era Survivor.
For a while, I was like, yeah, Survivor. That was the best that I had.
I put him on the Traitors. I think he'd actually be very fun, and like, especially from a statistical perspective, because he's really big into numbers, trying to figure out that type of stuff and playing the meta. I also, just looking at the pole dancing, I also put him on Drag Race Down Under. Like, Miles, if you haven't tried drag yet, like, what you're able to do in heels is something that, like, I'd say at least 40% of drag queens can't do proper. So, like, give it a try. You never know if this doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing all of that, as you said, in heels. Survivor will be a cakewalk.
Yeah, you know what they say. Like, Fred Astaire played Survivor, but Ginger Rogers had to play Survivors backwards and in heels. So she truly is the better player.
What am I missing?
It's too long to explain.
Explain it. Explain it to the people. If you're gonna make jokes,
it's a joke about how Ginger Rogers was a better dancer than Fred Astaire because she did everything he did backwards.
Oh, okay, that's the actual quote, but you made it Survivor. All right. Okay, great. That's where we're at. We're getting to our last person now. This is Rich.
They're like, Zara took the cake, but like, he's certainly on the frosting.
He took the coconut?
Where did he get the coconut from?
Why from the ground?
But why are there props in photos?
Well, it's not a prop. They're in the jungle. He probably was like, hey, here's a coconut. 100%
a prop. If it's anything that's not on your body, it is a prop.
Right, but it's like, it's not like a prop that they like brought in.
I mean, there's
something
still, like,
that's just there in the environment.
Okay, fine. It's the scenery. Have we seen other cast photos where people utilize the scenery as much as Rich is holding that coconut in his hand?
Yeah, this is Rich. We know that being a Richard H can be very good on Survivor. Rich is a director. He's not Rich like Kent is Rich. This is Rich. The other, that's where it could get confused. But so he's meant to be like a buff braid, which he clearly is, very strong. He is very creative, so he's a film director, and he's been successful. He directed a film with Antonio Banderas and Kate Bosworth.
And 2 Chainz.
Oh, okay, sorry. And also, there was a film at least in talks with Cara Delevingne. I don't think it was ever released, but there was something going on with that. There was an AFL ad that I remember that he directed. He went viral in 2016.
Okay, so let's talk about Shannon. I know how much you love pranks. Do you want to hear about what put Rich on the map back in 2016?
Yeah, I didn't dig enough into this because I was running late because I didn't expect to have to go so far down the rabbit hole of Max's Instagram. So yes, I would love to hear it, and I'm willing to just like also hate Rich. Is this a prank pulling tribe? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, so in 2016, a series of viral videos were released onto mainstream media of like things you would only see once in your lifetime, like a woman down by the shoreline nearly getting struck by lightning, like a snowboarder filming herself and then there's a bear chasing her through the tundra, a swimmer fighting off a shark, a lion getting revenge on a trophy hunter by mauling them off camera.
That sounds actually pretty fun. I like that one.
It got circulated worldwide, got covered in all these news organizations, but it was all fake. It was all computer generated.
AI? Oh my god!
So it was. I mean, I don't know if it was AI as much as it was like computer generated fake footage, but it was all a like backdoor introduction to Rich's media company. And so they sort of made this big reveal that they had manufactured all of these videos as a way to essentially advertise their own company without having to do it, just specifically through word of mouth.
I don't think that's a prank. I think that's just like, you know, like when I saw the Robbie Williams biopic, I didn't think he was actually a monkey. Like that's filmmaking.
Well, that's different. That's incredibly different.
How?
If someone was like, look at this monkey man over here, that's different than I'm going to sit down and watch a movie about a man who is a monkey.
I don't know. It's like, you can't believe anything I mean, everything is if not AI
Yeah, really.
or
Honestly,
computer generated.
Rich might have been sort of like the canary in the coal mine of the shape of things to come in 2016.
Yes, exactly. And now he's here with all of these people who do similar things. I don't think that you're okay, Rich. That doesn't count as a prank. Okay, I'll tell you what's a prank.
So
Putting dog poo on someone's bed is a prank. Fake
no,
dog poo.
well,
That's
just
a
you
prank.
wait until you find out about the viral video of like someone falling in dog poo.
Did that happen?
No, there was a video of someone dressed in a stormtrooper outfit who fell down the stairs, which also felt very mean.
That wasn't his thing?
That was one of his videos.
Wait, it was like a lion getting revenge on a trivia and someone falling down the stairs?
Yep.
Those things are not the same. Okay, I don't know. I thought I got it, and now I feel like I don't. Yeah, so, okay, a couple of him. He wants to, like, make big moves. He obviously wants to make good TV, right? That's what he does. He makes television. He makes content. He wants to stir the pot. So that's interesting. I noticed that before he went on, a lot of his posts were being liked by Mark Wales. So he seems to know Mark Wales.
Okay. Is he a subscriber to The Diplomat?
Not Mark from last season, Mark Wales.
Oh, Mark Wales. I keep mixing up Mark Warnock is the last name, right? Of last year's Mark. So I got my Mark W's mixed up.
How could
I
you?
mean, it makes a lot of sense in that, like, I don't know if they were friendly before. I mean, I know that Mark Wales was in a movie. Was he not in Furiosa? I believe he was in
I don't
Furiosa.
think that Rich directed that.
No, but like if they're running within the entertainment industry, or if it was like, hey, I'm gonna reach out to an Australian Survivor winner to give me any sort of quick tips. But I think that the skill set of a director is really interesting when it applies to the game of Survivor, because on the one hand, it's all about being very organizational and keeping track of so many different moving pieces. And I think that translates really well to relationship management. The other side of that is going back to the idea of control. And not to say that Rich is this type of director that's like, it's got to be my way or the highway, say it this way every single time. But when you're a director, you clearly have a vision for how you want things to play out. And there might be difficulties in either communicating that vision or abdicating that vision to other people. And I wonder if something similar might happen here, especially as someone who likes to stir the pot. Is he someone that's like, nope, I'm going to make this move. It's not going to be any other name because that's who I want tonight.
Yeah, and there's also the idea of, like, it's not just a control. It's also, like, going from behind the camera to in front of it. That might be a strange thing. Do you think that, like, when he's in confessional, he'll be like, I'm so, like, can you just, you're shift the camera, right? Or, like, he's like, I should sit here for confessional. He's, like, staging his own shots.
Yeah, he's like, the lighting here is not great. Can we get a white balance really quick?
He's the first person to ever get voted out by production. They actually were like, just.
Oh no, you broke your foot. So sorry, Rich. You have to go.
Another broken foot. 2 in 1 season. God forbid. I said post-merge, I guess. I was really phoning it in at the end. I was running late. And then I said Lego Masters ? Because that's creative. It was very hard to Google reality TV for directors. But unfortunately, all reality TV shows have directors.
So I put him on a show that's very defunct now, but popped up a couple times on HBO in the States called Project Greenlight, which was, I believe it was produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, where they would follow the process of pitching and picking up and producing movies. There also was a show called On the Lot, which was like a competitive reality show where directors were essentially be given different challenges to do every week. And so I think all of that is in Rich's wheelhouse. I actually had him going pre-merge. Like, I see him in this category as post-swap. We're starting to get to the pointy end of the pre-merge. Like, is this a guy that we really want to take in there? He's super buff. He's someone who has one of the loudest voices, could be in control of these votes. We want to cut his legs out from under him before we give him the chance to run, basically. And so I could see him becoming one of these, like, surprise 15th, 16th place boots.
Right. All right. Well, that's everyone. Welcome, Matt. Obviously, really easy one. Lights, camera, action.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, really obvious. That one probably exists.
Or like, anyway, I'm ready for my close-up.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Oh, yeah. I think we want to go with lights, camera, action.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think it feels more. I don't know. It feels more welcoming. Feels more communicative and community based as well.
Maybe you flip it over when you want to not be welcoming.
And cut.
Yeah, exactly. And cut when they leave. I love that.
When you leave, that's a wrap.
Oh, that's great. What I really enjoy is the idea of people having to rush out and change the welcome mat based on whether people are leaving or coming into the
It
home.
sounds like the least efficient
Yeah.
thing to ever do. Like, wait, do I need situational welcome mats now?
Yeah. It makes me think as well that I wish that like homes had a front door and well, I guess they do have a back door. Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually is a thing that exists. I wish for back doors
But you
that
can only
exist.
send your guests out through the back
Yeah,
door.
you can
Like,
only
no,
go
don't
through the
leave the
back
way you
door.
came. You have to go
I
this
don't
way.
want, yeah, for the sake of the welcome mat, I think people should enter one way, leave another way, and the welcome mats will be different. And I think that's a really good idea. And we would sell double the welcome mats. So it would be great for the welcome mat industry.
Yes, exactly. That's really what we're here to do at the end of the day, Shannon. Second is trying to preview these 12 members of the Brains tribe. But first and foremost is trying to make sure that Big Welcome Matt continues to stuff our pockets with that good green with all these great
100%.
ideas we're coming up with.
It's really organic product placement. I don't think I ever betted Knock Knock Who's there though. I think we got some good stuff.
We got
the
some
Pokemon
really
you
good
came
stuff.
up with was really good. Yeah, look, we're gonna have to carry it on to Brawn. So think about it when you're looking at the Brawn/Brawns tribe. Mike, this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
We had a good time. Yes. Tell the people what's up.
So, well, I'll be back in a few days, right? We'll be back in due time
We're gonna do the
to
Brawn
cover
tribe.
the Brawn prawns.
Mhm.
So it'll be just
That
a
feels like a
little
long
while,
time
much like a
ago.
little prawn. But plenty of stuff going on in the meantime. The couple things that I will plug is, of course, the Reality Flash, which is the new podcast I have going on in 2025, which is breaking news in the world of reality TV. Obviously, there's a lot happening out there in this wild, wonderful genre on some shows that we even talked about today in sending forward some of these castaways. So anytime there is like a big piece of breaking news, I will be in your eyes and ears giving you a bite-sized taste of what you need to know. For example, the last one I did was the return of the Joe Schmo show, which, Shannon, if you don't like pranks, then you would not like this show at all.
Yeah.
So
I don't like,
I
but
feel like,
this still feel like it's a bit different. But yeah, it's not really for me.
but after an over 10-year hiatus, the show has come back on TBS. I talked about the history of it and talked with Chappelle about our thoughts on the premiere of season 4. But the other thing is, this is a very fun warm-up to a very other type of preseason. Before we know it, yes, we're about a month away at this point from Survivor 48, but whenever that cast drops, I will be able to release all of the really fantastic content I was able to get out there this time on the island, talking with the cast of Survivor 48 days before they played. The game got a little bit more exposure than the stuff that we got today, so you can discern your own judgments
I
from
saw a lot today. I don't know that you got that much in your interviews.
It's a bit of a spoiler. Nobody does an impression of a dog out of any of the castaways.
No one pole danced, I bet.
There were some palm trees around, but we won't talk about that. I got very bored during my downtime between interviews, but you can check that out whenever it comes out at parade.com. And of course, on Rob Has a Podcast, we'll have everything you need to know about that. But otherwise, you can check out everything I'm doing at a Mike Bloom Type.
Okay, well, you can follow me at Shannon Gage. We're putting out all the content. If you missed the kickoff special, how dare you? But also, we announced there'll be episodic coverage. And Mike's going to be a big part of that as well, which is exciting to get to podcast more with Mike. Yeah. Between me and Mike and the people who got through Mike's relationship to Wiccan culture and also the welcome mats and Brawn Prawn, et cetera, for the people who get rewarded with the information at the end of the podcast,
yes,
there's no Talking Tribal this season. But there is episodic coverage on RHAP, so we're changing it up in the approach of the way I'm covering the season, and I'm really excited about it. So for those who didn't listen to the kickoff special, we're going to have every episode, hopefully, post-episode recap, and then a feedback show at the end of the week with a guest. We're trying to keep it shorter. This was zippy, right? This is 2 hours. So we're going to have like some zippier recaps, headline kind of moves, talk about like the week and looking ahead with the feedback guest, and then obviously exit interviews, and then 48 will be happening, and I'm covering that every week. So there's going to be a lot of coverage. That's all here on technically We Know Global Survivor, though I don't know if we have the website yet, but subscribe to the feed. Whatever the feed is, be subscribed. Follow me, because that's where all of that is. We're going to be back doing the Brawn Tribe stuff. And then we said as well that we're going to look at doing a draft, preseason draft. It's a lot going on, Mike. I'm very excited about it all.
Yeah, listen, we've got a little bit of a ramp up, right? We're a couple weeks removed only from the premiere, but I am very excited. And look, a very sad situation, obviously, to lose Talking Tribal, but this when one door closes, the back one opens, and it's the perfect opportunity to really burgeon this welcome mat business, Shannon. It's the
Oh
perfect
my
opportunity.
God. You're so right. I've been thinking like, look, when one door closes, you find a window. That's been my whole thing of 2025. But now I'm like, it's not a window. It's a back door. As a great survivor winner once said, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That's what we're doing here. And then you get double the welcome mats, which is just use my code Shannon10 to get 10% off your very specific welcome mats tailored to this cast. But Mike, this was a very, very fun time. Thank you so much as always. Thank you to our team behind the scenes. Thank you to the listeners, and I will see you next time. Bye.